about Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going, Healthy Warrior Shane?
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Bella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again. Guys, I'm at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR, the show. With me today, we have a Mr. Klump. What's up, Klump?
How's it going, everybody? How you doing, Marsh?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. We're going to see if anybody else jumps in here at any given moment. I've sent the link out to people, things, places. We'll see what happens. So, we'll see how it goes. Go ahead.
It feels like 5th grade class during Zoom. We're just waiting for everybody to show up.
Yeah, right. So we're going to do a quick head count. We're going to kind of check in with everybody. We're going to see how everyone's feeling. Just let everyone kind of like wander in. So, yeah, hopefully. I mean, hey, it's the dive bar, right? Like, hey, your drinking buddies come in. They leave early. They stay late. Like, you don't know. So, neither do we.
Yeah.
There's one thing I know for certain is I don't know even what's happening on my own show. Let's start with the simple stuff. A little bit of what's in your glass. What are you drinking over there? I caught a little glimpse of it.
Oh, yeah. It was thrown out to me that it exists not in a limited release. I have Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. And, ladies and gentlemen, when this was announced, it was initially a limited release, and I spent an incredible amount of time trying to get it. The internet kept crashing. I could not get it. I was furious, and I was not going to pay $40 a can. And lo and behold, I wasn't the only one who wanted it. It appears
like a fluffy pop, just
yes.
that kind of nightmare of trying to shop online, fluffy pop style.
Mm-hmm. And it tastes, I feel underwhelmed.
So we know what let's start with regular regular Mountain Dew as your base. How close does it taste to a normal Mountain Dew?
Remarkably
close?
Yeah, it truthfully, and I'm not the biggest fan of Mountain Dew, so that kind of upset me more. Part of me, I don't know, and I know it's not the flavor profile of like Flamin' Hot Cheetos, but I kind of wanted more of like more kick. It's kind of like if you like shit whiskey, in your shit whiskey, yes, in your shit whiskey company, and you want to make a Fireball knockoff, you just put a little bit of cinnamon in it. It literally just tastes a little bit. There's a little bit of cinnamon on the end of it, like, and it's not. It's not bad, but it's not like hot or spicy.
Yeah, because like those Red Hot candies are just cinnamon candies. They're just cinnamons. And people oftentimes confuse cinnamon with heat.
Yeah. It really is that.
So it tastes like cinnamon in a Mountain Dew?
Yeah, it tastes like Red Hot's fucked Mountain Dew.
So if you were to get Mountain Dew and just pour a packet of Red Dots into it and let it sit, you're making yourself Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it is also an uncomfortable color of orange. Like it's like which is on brand for Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew's color, it's the colors of antifreeze, coolant, industrial chemicals, and it's an orange that makes you think of like Chester Cheeto, drug test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I'm sure everyone appreciates the Mountain Dew Flamin' Hot review. We were talking about it for a long time last week, so I'm glad that you were able to track it down. But you said you got a whole case of that, didn't you?
I did.
So you got a lot to get through.
I do.
Are you...
Am I excited? I'm not. I mean,
out of your way, you can sneak a can or two into work and leave it out and just like put someone's name on it, like they were meant, like they left it. You know what I mean? Someone goes, "Oh shoot, did I leave that here?" And then they have it. Like there's gotta be a way to trick people into drinking it.
I mean, that's not a bad idea because I'm pretty sure if I brought the remainder of the case into work, I'd have enough people like, ooh, that's really cool that they try it. And then I don't care if they drink it all. Just like,
That's a good point.
Open whatever like cans I have left, and cool, it's your problem now. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, you started it.
Yeah. I could raffle them.
Oh, that'd be good.
You know?
Make a big punch out of it.
I had a friend who like told me like when I had to get rid of, I had this really shitty car,
Yeah.
god awful, smelled like farts, dashboard had fallen off, and I was like, I'll just donate it to like NPR or something. And he's like, no. What you do is do a 50-cent raffle for it.
Yeah.
And you just get it, like everyone on like 50 cents get a car free and clear, and you'll get people in. Hell, he's like, go higher, like get your friends in it, do like $20 who wants a car, do with it whatever you want, and you make like $200, and then they have to deal with it. You don't have to give a shit about what happens to the car after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you described the car though sounded like a good car.
It was it you got into it.
Fart smell sounds like a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Klump mobile. It was also an off shade of brown.
It's a Klump mobile. I'm having in my glass a little Keto strawberry daiquiri to wind down the week as we get towards the weekend. Me and producer lady are going to Alaska on Saturday. So next week we'll be coming to you live from Chateau des Beards, and we're going to be live and in person, side by side with our drinking buddy, Sports Beard. So look forward to that next week.
I have a question. What makes it keto? How is alcohol not keto?
It depends on the alcohol. Depends on the sugar level. It depends on the carb level of it. As long as you're are effectively taking in less than I believe it's around 36 grams of carbs and sugars collectively, you're still in ketosis, and so it's still something you can burn off, right? It depends on the alcohol. Some alcohols are super not keto. Some of them are. That's why I like whiskey. Whiskey's typically pretty keto. It's not a sugary-based one, but some vodkas definitely are sugar-based. Flavored ones, sugar-based. Liqueurs, obviously sugar-based. Flavored Crown Royals, super sugary. You just kind of have to look up the stuff about it to determine if it's one of the brands you can have or not.
So
Most seltzers are keto. True. 0 carbs, 0 sugar.
So it's kind of like the more it's something that you being a freshman in college would want to drink, the less likely it is to be keto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real men drink keto. Except when it turns to seltzers. Then you can party with the college kids all night long.
Yeah.
So.
Look at us. I mean, but college kids are keto now. It's keeping you young.
Yeah. Fresh. Grim Reaper coming through saying hi. He goes, nice setup, Klump. He likes your new setup, dude. Your new lighting.
I just have a window open, so it's the sun.
Yeah, I feel like you just turned the camera slightly to the side. That's my impression I got from it.
And also no longer have the background blurred.
That's true.
Yeah.
It makes the fact that it was blurred before really suspicious. But we won't get into that right now. Let's see. All right, Klump. Looks like we might have a few people coming through pretty shortly. But let's do a little bit of the news. You said you saw some stuff and some headlines you thought was worth talking about that you wanted to jump in on. What do you got?
Yeah, let's throw out a couple different things. So one, there was a earnings call thing that Tony Khan did it's media call Tony Khan did ahead of Double or Nothing.
Yep.
And it's just kind of going through it. Like, there's some cool things. Like, it's awesome. He's talking about they've got $1.1 million gate. Hey, Amanda, welcome in.
Amanda made it.
Yeah, sorry, you had police action today.
Always good. It means you're booked for the main event if the police get involved. That's what I know.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Amanda's the Wardlow of our group.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're going over the earnings call from Tony Khan, the Double or Nothing's media scrum. Really is what it was. But Amanda, while he's flipping through looking for the quote that he wants to hit on, what do you got in your drink? What are you drinking?
Well, today I have two options. I really should have gone for booze, but I will have after I eat dinner, I will have a little popsicle that's alcoholic. Yay.
There you go.
But I've got regular Coke and apple juice because I do.
Nice. Klump has Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. Just so you
How
know.
is the Flaming Hot Mountain Dew?
Doesn't love it.
No,
It's
Doesn't love it.
weird.
It's like Mountain Dew with cinnamon.
Yeah.
Ew.
It's like if you
yeah.
put Red Hots inside of a Mountain Dew can, then that's what you got.
Mhm.
So
Is it a
we don't
can?
want to. What?
But you have it in a can?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't.
And the,
Oh, that's
and
a
the one I'm
lot.
drinking.
Yeah. He's got a
Wow.
lot.
Okay,
He's
because
got a lot
I've
to get
only
through.
known people who've drunken it out of
A bottle.
bottles.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't think this is like a craft beer situation. I don't think it's going to taste all that different from a bottle, can, or tap. If I'm being
It
honest.
I
does.
mean, I am always cautious with Mountain Dew in a bottle because just based on
The look
my
of it.
history, the look of it, my history of Mountain Dew, the history of Mountain Dew in my family, I have a suspicion that Mountain Dew kind of eats the plastic and
I think
gets
so.
you, yeah,
I think
you
so.
get a condition out of it.
Sure.
know.
Klump, what'd you find in the Tony Khan call?
Okay.
Let's
He
get
also
back on track.
stated, yeah, I got you. He also said we're going to probably be doing the Owen Hart tournament every year, which is cool. I like that.
That's
I mean, it
a
makes
good
sense to me.
idea,
Yeah.
Well,
but
yeah.
hopefully he does it differently next year. I was
I
actually
see.
thinking about it as a joke. I was trying to figure out the way to talk about it, but I was like, Owen Hart was known like famously as like the biggest ribber, right? Those tournaments felt like quite a rib, so maybe he really would have liked it,
maybe.
You know.
I agree with that. I can get into that all day, but beyond that
Yeah.
too, he talked about he's said a lot of positive stuff over and over again about the Discovery partnership right now,
Mm.
and
Yeah, they're going to be meeting with them and stuff, which I think is notable because one of the big concerns right now is that Discovery basically has AEW by the
That's that.
by the twins, by the old twins there. It's because if they just decide they don't want wrestling, then that's it for AEW. Like, I mean, it's not it yet. Like, they could probably shop around and find something, but how long will they have time to do that? How long will they be off air if they are doing that? Like, there's a lot of stuff that would go on should Discovery just say we don't want to. And one of the first things Discovery said was they were planning to cut $3 billion worth of costs from their merger. And we don't know the kind of moneymaker that AEW is for them. That's not a knock on them. It's just I just don't know, because why would I? I don't care too much about that. But when you hear about cost-cutting measures and you know that they're paying for a show like that's not number one in its own industry but still doing good, like, you just wonder, is it what they want? And when you think about WCW, it went out of business because Warner didn't want wrestling, not because WCW wasn't making money, because it was. It just and they ended up selling it for fractions of what it was valued, just because they wanted to get rid of it. And so
100%,
so it's cool that he said that Discovery wants to like spend time with them and get to know them some. It's hopeful.
And I agree with that too, because no matter what your feelings on AEW are, that conversation in the existence of AEW is a net positive for wrestling. If we see more wrestling on a larger scale, that means we're going to see more wrestling, period. It's going to keep things competitive. It's going to keep more production present. You know, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to see them disappear, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, no, the last thing I want them to do is be replaced with Control Your Narrative Wrestling. That's the last thing I want.
Hey.
Yeah, that would be
No, that's
okay.
no.
Let me tell you.
Mm.
This is
I
my
know I know Flip's in there, and I like Flip a
No,
lot.
it's not about Flip. No. And people leave Flip alone. Okay, he's proud of his service in the military. He is dingy. He can't help it. Okay. Anyways, no, with Control Your Narrative, those guys, they're on focus. They're doing what they said they're going to do. Now we're like, and this was from the get-go. Whereas Tony kind of swindled us, I feel.
Yeah, I will say the net positive about CYN is that they are doing exactly what they said they were going to do. They're doing it the way they were going to do it, and they're staying true to it so far. And you're kind of like, well, I can respect that.
Yeah, I totally respect that.
I'm waiting for their next pay-per-view, Insurrection in the Capitol, held January 6th.
It's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
Be...
Faptina says Klump's looking sharp with good camera quality as well. I don't know. I think he looks kind of dull.
We all have good camera quality.
Just kidding.
I mean,
kidding.
Looks are different than actual, and yes, I am dull. But I mean, the other big one, this pissed me off. So this is a Tony one. I can't leave this to hang. He said that the main event may be delayed till the end of the Celtics game.
Of the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
He said he's going to potentially just have, like, he's going to put off doing the main event until the Celtics game is over?
Let me throw it out. Let me see. Where is it?
Because I'll be honest.
Who are they playing?
I really hope that the Celtics go into triple overtime. With that mentality going into it. Because I want to see what he does to try and fucking fluff it. I will say this, too. AEW was catching a little bit of criticism here and there for them having really long pay-per-views after WWE's gone on like they were getting WWE for years was getting rained about how long their pay-per-views were, especially after the one WrestleMania was like 8 hours. During the pandemic, and since they cut them down to about 3.5 hours.
And that's been
3.5 to 4 maybe. I would say 3 to 4. It depends on the pay-per-view. So
or 2 nights, which is also fantastic. 2
nights of 3 hours, great.
Yeah.
So the idea that Tony's been having longer and longer pay-per-views, and they've been like 5-6 hours. If he's all like, "Yep," and we're going to be willing to stretch it to make it last longer, like, ooh, I don't know what you're going to do to like fill it. What do you got, man?
If you're going to stretch it, why don't you put some of these people who we never see wrestle for you that still work for you? Like, I don't know, Hulk Cabana, Varsity Blondes.
Wouldn't it be funny if they had a stretch the clock challenge, where they literally just have 2 teams go out there who you've never really seen on TV. It's always been on Dark. And they literally just go out there and wrestle until you suddenly hear the ref say, "All right, take it home," because the Celtics game is over.
Just somebody sprinting out. It's over! It's over!
Yep. The Celtics score is up in the top corner of the screen or something. And like halftime Heat style.
It is like... and it's just weird to me. Like, it also just, like... we all know wrestling ain't... We all know it's a performance art kind of thing. I mean, come on. That's real to us. But give me some level of illusion.
Yeah, don't just say it.
The offer
good.
is, if you're paying, what, 50 some odd bucks for it, or whatever crazy cost it is, and you're there to see Phil, because I'm assuming Phil and Hangman are the main event.
Yep.
Yeah, I would think.
You don't give a fuck about the Celtics and whoever they're playing.
That's a really good point.
I don't care. All I know, I want the Warriors to win tonight. So we can go to we can go again to the, NBA final.
I'll tell you what, too. Nobody's watching the Celtics and thinking to themselves, well, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go ahead and buy the AEW event and watch it live.
Yeah.
Anybody who's watching the Celtics is going to be watching AEW the next day. Anybody who's paid for AEW does not care what's happening with the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the decision's been made. They've make the people happy who are paying you to give them what they want. Give me what I want. Give me what I want. That's crazy.
It is weird.
It's crazy. Do you think it's because Tony wants to watch the Celtics game and he's like,
probably
doesn't want to be?
He's sitting there and gorilla. Ooh, hold on, wait. I can make you. Ooh, yeah.
Was I supposed to be doing something? Oh fuck.
Yeah.
No,
Tony, where are? Oh, I didn't pay you money. Didn't pay you enough money.
I think it's like he wants Tony's methodology to try and boost his self-worth and his company's self-worth is through association without context. Yeah. This is a big thing. I'm a big thing too. You're not related. Like,
yeah, true.
World War II was a big thing. Don't talk about Normandy when you're talking about a pay-per-view. It's just
it's unrelated.
Or
exactly.
Is your dad gonna buy the Celtics?
Yeah, depending on how the game plays out.
Yeah. Like, come on, dude.
I saw also in there that Tony Khan had mentioned that what makes the MJF stuff so interesting is that it's always good to be using some level of reality and saying that they've been able to air some real grievances there, kind of shedding light on the idea that MJF is really thinking about leaving and not getting the contract that he wants and all that. I didn't think that was like the best way to word that either.
Yeah.
To be honest, if it is, I mean, I ultimately think a lot of it's
we're
the work,
talking about it,
right? Yeah. I honestly think that it's majority storyline, but with the idea that MJF also knows that he has a high value.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, I know that Cody has said on record a number of times that, you know, money wasn't the end-all be-all decision of what he did. It was just time and all that. But I don't think that there wasn't... I don't think that the narrative that he wasn't going to be making what he thought he was worth, I don't think is a far stretch from a consideration. And I think that as long as that conversation is out there, then I think that it makes a lot of sense that someone else might say, Tony's not paying people their value. He's not re-upping these contracts in the middle. And what I mean, like, MLW has. Hammerstone, I saw an interview with him where he mentioned that while he was with MLW, every time his pay has gone up, it hasn't been in the middle of negotiations of contracts. It's been in the middle of his contract that they've just been, you're worth more, we're going to pay you more. Your value is higher, we're going to pay you more. So that way when the time comes to talk contracts, hopefully you'll feel a little more loyalty to lean towards us because you know that we recognize your value, right? If Tony's not willing to do that to a guy like a Cody or a guy like an MJF, you could have some. I think egos can get in the way. You know what I mean? I think you could have some problems.
But then I think also too is, remember, he's paying a lot of money for these other people who are like kind of like fly by night, you know. And I I would be pissed if I was someone like an MJF. You know, he was there from the start. Obviously, he does what he does very well.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, that platform has made him, really elevated him to what he is today. Yep. And you would think that if he goes away, you're missing a lot of things. And I think a lot of people would be kind of irritated because everyone loves to hate him, you know? So I don't know. I just wouldn't do it in that fashion, because if you really want to tank your company, if you keep doing that, then, you know, it's just all bad.
And I mean, I don't know. I think that, I guess if I'm going to talk a little out of school for a second, because what the fuck do I know? I mean, we're just a bunch of drinking buddies having a few sodas on TV, YouTube TV, whatever. I think that there's probably a very real part of MJF that wants to be in the WWE. Like, if you think of his age, he didn't grow up during the Monday Night Wars. He didn't grow up with NWA. He didn't grow up with the territories. He grew up with WWE, and that was it. And some TNA, maybe. And I think that from what we hear about him, he's definitely gone on to see and read and research more, so it's not like he's numb to any of that stuff by any means. But I think that when you just think about his age group and his aspirations, WWE has to be a heavy consideration. And at the same time, how cool is it and exciting to be a part of something big like an AEW, something that is industry shifting and changing. But at the end of the day, like, if you're not going to make it stupid for me to leave, like, I don't see why MJF would leave for any other reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, or why he wouldn't stay for any other reason. Like, I don't think he wants to stay just for the love of the game. I think that he literally does want to be one of the best ever. I think to prove that, you have to be on one of the biggest platforms ever. I think that he does want to be in WWE at some point in his career, whether it's this next iteration or an iteration later. Maybe he wants it in 10 years. Maybe he doesn't want it right away. But I think nothing's going to keep him there except for Tony Khan going out of his way to prove his loyalty the same way and his worth, you know? So it's weird that Tony would be all like, oh yeah, no, I definitely am not giving him the money he wants. I'm like, what? There's some real grievances there. I'm not paying him what he wants to be paid. It's crazy, right? Makes for good TV.
Yeah, but that's what makes me really angry with Tony.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're going to make statements like this. And yet, you know, everybody in the back, who obviously, you know, is not Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Phil, or whomever,
yeah,
are, you know, are like, well, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
What am I? What am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Well, and I think as well too, um, there's a realization with MJF, like the dude, no matter how big AEW gets, it's not WWE, and he works in a company where he's made aware of that by the fact that these people around him who've come in and are being paid more than him, the dude who built his name here and helped build the company, where are they coming from? WWE. It's the same shit that happened in TNA. It's the same shit that happened throughout the Monday Night Wars.
Yep.
What if there's greener pastures somewhere else and you're bringing them in and doing a lot for them, then yeah, they'll want to go there. I mean, if there's a name value to him, I hope he goes to WWE. It would be, if nothing else, it's prestigious as all hell,
It's a really good point. I think that you almost glossed over the point of that. What are you as Tony Khan saying about your own company when you have people coming from WWE and strictly because of their WWE run, you're paying them more than your homegrown talent? You're, by default, explaining to your roster that WWE is more valuable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of glossed over that, and when you said it, it kind of hit me like I didn't even think about the idea that Tony Khan is explaining to his roster WWE is more valuable. You don't have the value here that I get from someone from somewhere else. Of course they're going to want to go somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Well, and there's a real economic logic to it, in that he can't be MLW. MLW doesn't pull WWE stars because they can't afford WWE stars, and because of that they can build their own people. But they also don't, by design, compete on a major network.
Yep.
Yeah, Vice a little bit, but they're not competing on the same scale that WWE and AEW are doing. Okay. So to do that, you gotta, to make that money, spend the money. You gotta bring in people who have name value. NWA, TNA, and Impact did that for a long time, and it, was kind of shitty because it didn't work out. And it's happening here, and it is just a fact you got to acknowledge. You are trying to build up your brand. So how do you do that? Well, you bring people in. It's the Lakers bringing in all these really weird one-year contracts or absolute stars that they've been doing of late, even though realistically they need to rebuild their fucking team. Why?
Right.
Well, they got the money to bring in people for 1 year to create a dream team to fuck up the game.
Right. But he is ostensibly undervaluing his own roster by doing so, by saying, I have the money to buy people of higher value at a higher price, is saying you guys are less valuable to me, even though I've grown you here. It undervalues your entire structure and your entire narrative that we're building stars, right?
Yeah.
We can bring in stars or we can build stars. And if you're saying that some of your top stars homegrown are not the same value as those that are stars somewhere else, you're saying somewhere else will make you a bigger star than I will. You know what I mean? And even Jim Ross was saying that his time in talent relations at WWE, that they would revisit contracts all the time. They would say, hey, look, this person's only guaranteed this much, and they're definitely worth more than that. Let's renegotiate his contract before it comes up. The idea that can happen is reality, even on scales outside of MLW. If WWE can do it, AEW can do it. The fact that Tony's not is undervaluing his entire company inadvertently. You know what I mean? He's trying to get away with it as long as he can. And the talent's just going to realize, hey, you don't make as much at AEW because you're not worth as much to him because you didn't come from WWE. He's already stating it with his paycheck.
Yeah. And I'll say this, sorry, Klump, is I think that even people like a Swerve, Keith Lee, and whatnot, who come from, they were in NXT. I'm pretty sure they probably are making more than, I don't know, Powerhouse Hobbs or
Jungle Boy. I bet you they're making more Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And it's just sad.
Well, let me clarify the sad part. It's not sad that they're making more. It's sad that Jungle Boy's not making more.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't want it to make it sound like, hey, we're trying to undermine one or the other. We're trying to say that the idea is that all high tide raises all ships, but it's not. High tide is raising the WWE talent ships, and AEW ships are not rising at the same rate. Klump, what were you going to say?
Two things. One, I think the sad point is less that they're not making more, but also let's look at talent on TV. And I'm sorry, I know that they're EVPs, but talent-wise, I would like to see the pay packets for some of the people around the elite, because I don't know if they should be making that much, and I'm sure they're making fantastic amounts of money. But also, I think of MJF, and I think of Cody very much like Joe and AJ with TNA, or Abyss, or these other homegrown people. And I'd love to. I wish you could see pay and contracts for those people and these talents now, because I wonder, in those times where TNA was, oh yeah, we got Hogan. Oh yeah, we got Bischoff. Oh yeah, we got D'Lo, and on and on and on. Like, what was the pay differential to the people that built the fucking company? Like, you can't afford these people, and there's no reason to go for these people if not for these other people. And you got to appreciate them. And what's the lesson learned here? Because I feel like if people are having this concern, is it that they are being paid less? Is it that they have a valid argument there? Or is it that they, just that they are being paid for shit,
Yeah.
Are we seeing the same thing?
Speaking of high value new signees, we got Shakes Montana jumping in, and our latest drinking buddy. Shakes, what's up, buddy?
What's going on? I'll be on video soon. I'm just getting myself together. But hey man, what's going on? Hey Klump, how you doing, Miss Amanda?
I'm
always
good.
looking so beautiful.
Well, I'm not.
Even though I can't see you right now.
He just knows. He just knows.
I just knows it's ESP, right?
There you go. There you go. I'm eating dinner, so that's why. I don't think you guys want to see me eat.
Yeah,
No, and I'm doing something else too, so I don't think y'all want to see that neither. I'm not gonna say. Not gonna say.
It's all good. Klump's got his mob
maybe
boss cigar.
Maybe I should just say rolling up some cabbage. Now everybody knows. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue in any of our states, right?
No.
Oh.
I think it's a new America.
I mean, we got
now,
California, Arizona, and it's international. I think we're all fine with whatever you're doing. I mean, you
Okay.
show what you will or what you won't. It's all on you, man. None of us are too concerned about it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But whatever makes you comfortable.
I ain't want to be rude,
Oh no, it's all good. I'm sipping. He's got a cigar. She's having cheese sticks. We do what we do, man. We're just hanging. We're just hanging.
I have string cheese.
Mm-hmm. Shakes, you heard a little bit about what we were talking there about our belief that Tony Khan may be inadvertently undervaluing his own company by the contract negotiation talk that he's been having with the media as pertains to MJF specifically. What do you think about what we were saying?
Sorry, repeat that one more time.
We were talking about, because I think you heard a good chunk of what we were saying there about how, in regards to Tony specifically mentioning the frustrations that MJF may be having with his contract on this latest media call, that he may be inadvertently undervaluing his own company by admitting that he's not paying his homegrown top stars what he's paying the WWE talent as they come in.
Oh, I think a lot of that is what went wrong with WCW, right? And I think it's a real thing, especially when you have the segment between Adam Page and CM Punk. I'm not sure if y'all got to that yet, but when you get to that segment, you can tell there is something there where it's like, look, we have built this company, and then you just come along, and it's like you getting this superstar status. We not really rocking with that, and I feel like it's really that's how the homegrown wrestlers feel in AEW, with them giving these other guys these big contracts, which I do understand. It builds more audience. When I wasn't even watching or paying attention to AEW, didn't even know it existed until Moxley went there. So that just tells you everything.
Well, in fairness, wasn't Moxley at the first Double or Nothing?
Yes, he was.
So in fairness, they hadn't actually televised anything. They had been quote around for about a year because they had announced that January, and the show came on around. Actually, I thought the original Double or Nothing was October, but it must not have been. October was their TNT debut.
Yeah.
So I guess it was about 4 or 5 months of AEW being in existence, but they weren't running any shows. So in fairness, you didn't miss a lot. But there is a real point.
Oh,
to
thank
that.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. There's a real point to that too, because when Mox goes there, people go, "Oh shit, what's going on? Who is this?" And then now you're learning about that stuff. But yeah, I do think there's a value to him, and I do think that I felt like there was a real tension in that segment. We'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else from that call, Klump? Klump, I think you've muted yourself on accident. Maybe
that
your
was
mic.
the big stuff as far as I saw.
Okay.
Everything else that I was looking at was not
Not as compelling.
It was, yeah, those are the big things.
And then you had the thing that Ospreay said.
Yes, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
What the hell, Ocean Spray? Oh, yes, and people, I just want to say, if you are on my Instagram, I posted the picture because shout out to Mikey Nolan because it was a great moment that he captured. Mm-hmm. And no, I'm not kissing him, and he's not kissing me, but he says he loves me too. I don't love him. And even Marty said something to me. He messaged me. He's like, "What the hell is that?" I go, "Don't know," but yeah. Marty's like, "What a numpty." I go, "I know exactly, right?"
That's fun.
Hey,
So-
Amanda. I'm sorry, real quick, Klump. You're gonna be proud of me. I actually watched NXT a little bit.
Oh, well, awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't watch it this week.
No, you didn't. Oh.
No, I've had a really.
Cause I was getting all geared up to talk about the battle. What's the chick name? She was in pajamas. And the
Wendy
one-
Chu.
Don't
Wendy
be.
Chu.
I'll watch Wendy Chu right now. Hold on.
Yeah. They're
love her.
it was a fun episode, but Klump, what did Will Ospreay say?
So he, quote, on WWE Stars, "You guys aren't wrestlers. You're actors. And you just do wrestling. I don't think that's a dig. You guys make way more than me. Like, good on you. But I feel like I can probably say that that's a wrestler. I am a wrestler. I am not an actor." And okay, yeah, but they're also in the biggest company in this industry that's making the most money. Yeah, it's easy to say that, but it feels like, to me, it's like you can burn down as many pool halls, armories as you want, but you're not at that level that you're tearing down 20,000 seat arenas.
Nope.
They might be actors, but they also do the work in the ring.
I'll say this: if there are pro wrestlers who are not good actors, but there is no great pro wrestler that is not a good actor. You know what I mean? Like, all of the greats that people think about, even territory days. You want to talk before WWE, outside of WWE, and all the different brands that have ever been. It doesn't matter which one's your favorite, quote, flavor, as they say. Your favorite is a hell of an actor, because your favorite is nothing like what you believe they're like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So it's really weird for him to say that. Go ahead, Shakes.
For example, Undertaker and Mark Calloway, right? Like,
Yeah.
total different people, man.
Can
Total
stand-
different people.
Exactly.
He's an actor.
Or
And you really got to see that in his Hall of Fame speech, which was great. Like, I loved it because he really was vulnerable and gave you the real him.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
It was great.
and I didn't even think about the territory days. You threw that out, like the idea of the talker, the idea of like Ric Flair was a hell of an actor. Magnum TA was, a fantastic talker. These guys that built themselves up, that built this industry, these wrestlers, they talked too. They had to in and out of it, live this gimmick and exit it. And
What do you think kayfabe means?
Yeah,
kayfabe means act.
It means Will Ospreay's not going to make it past Performance Center. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Explains everything.
Hey, open my mouth about Ospreay and money. Yes, Ocean Spray does not make that kind of money because I guess something happened with his parents, and he was like, oh, he started GoFundMe. He was like, oh, my parents need help, but I can't help them because I spent all my money building this house. And I was like, what a douche. You know, I mean, I already don't like you. And now you're saying stupid shit like this? I'm like, come on. But his problem is nobody wants him because he's got an attitude problem. So, you know, you got to blame yourself and be jealous of those people because they never, as far as I know, I don't think WWE ever was seeking out him at all because they got the better version of him. Ricochet's with them.
Yeah.
Upset.
They got the one who was good about it. The other thing is I think that him feeling like he's successfully diminishing WWE superstars and talent by calling them actors and not pro wrestlers doesn't feel any different than how sensitive he gets when people calls him a gymnast and not a wrestler. It's the same thing, dude. Like, you guys are all actors and effectively stuntmen. Like, I mean, that's what makes this show so great, is that you're all like superheroes doing superhero shit. And none of us believe for a second that Becky Lynch is just like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean she's not one of the best of all time. Bret Hart was not always like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, they turned things on. Even Austin said that it was a lot of what he's like, but turned up to 11. You can't turn up to 11 if that's who you are. You know what I mean? Like, he's not that guy all the time. Like, his favorites are actors. Jerry Lawler is an actor. Although I do believe he loves puppies, just as a side note.
Puppy!
What? Producer lady not happy about that one. Bishop in the chat says, shouts to Shakes for rolling on the rocks. I appreciate that.
Hey, I like that. Rolling on the rocks.
Yeah, I thought it was nonsensical and funny that he thought he was like saying something crazy. And then what my favorite part is the amount of people online being like, it's true, WWE's got sports entertainers, they don't have pro wrestlers. Pro wrestlers are in AEW, they're not sports entertainers. And you're like, you really don't understand branding. No. Like, that's the same thing but different brand. Like, they're literally, like, it's ridiculous. To think that calling a wrestler a sports entertainer is a dig, and to think that calling a sports entertainer a pro wrestler is taboo is falling into the branding of it. Mm-hmm. You got.
And it speaks to how fickle the IWC is, like with this stuff that they, you know, it's just hating WWE, but like, 6-7 years ago, Steen and El Generico were wrestlers, and look at them fucking now. You know, they are
greatest.
Yeah, and they're sports entertainers. 10 years ago, you had fucking, I mean, just everyone that's gone through the system. It's like they've started there. They all were wrestlers. They all have been rebranded. And you know what? You see the people who exit, their skills in WWE are marketable as fuck in this industry. Yeah. John Moxley, I'm sorry. I've seen some of his CZW stuff. He does interesting stuff, but his character, that is him turned up to 11. But the ability to do that came through promo classes with Dusty at the WWE.
Yeah,
Phil Brooks, as wonderful as he is, CM Punk as great as he is, and I like CM Punk. What got him to what he is not, the summer of Punk and ROH, but it was the time he spent in WWE that made him who he is.
Yeah,
and as much as he probably,
Heyman,
as much as he probably shit on everything, he still he still give you positive. He himself talks about people he had decent relationships there, and you're like, oh yeah, it's this, it's that. If you're a wrestler and not a sports entertainer, that just means like, okay, cool, you play bush league or beer league softball, and somebody else plays for the Mets.
No. And you want to talk about people's favorite wrestlers of all times? They always talk about The Rock. They always talk about Cena, Stone Cold, Undertaker. You want to talk Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair? You think they're not actors? Like, out of here.
Hulk Hogan.
Hogan? Yeah. I'd like to know who Ospreay was watching when he was a child that thought, I want to do that when I grow up, and then find out that person wasn't a quote sports entertainer. Say what? Mysterio? Yeah. Bishop's in the chat says Gunther is a wrestler, and boy oh boy is that build to his chop is sports entertaining. Yeah. He'll slap the soul right out of your chest.
I mean, I don't know if I'd use that example because I'm sorry, I don't like Gunther.
Yeah, that's a bad example.
What do you mean you don't like Gunther?
You don't like Gunther?
I don't like Gunther.
No.
I just find the name change weird. I still do.
Gunther, well, it's still Walter to me, but yeah, that's kind of a bad example because, it's pretty transparent what he is. He's not acting. That's just that's Walter.
He's just like that in real life. He's just
Walter.
He's kind of scary, intimidating, and for people to know, if you could pay him any amount of money and he will not chop you. Just FYI. So.
Because he's an actor.
Because he's an actor. But the people he works with are actors because they're like, oh, the pain. But then you have to remember that is pretty painful.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get those red marks on your chest for no reason, right?
I don't want to get.
That's a good point.
Well, I don't know why I would ever, but I would.
Such a good actor. I get these red handprints on my moves.
You know?
Method.
How do you fake that?
You don't. You can't
let's talk some product.
Yeah.
Let's talk some product. And I'm looking at the card from Rampage because I realized I didn't even try to watch any of it, and then I see the card and I realized why. Was there anything on Rampage that you guys had anything to say about? We had Moxley and Danielson against Dante Martin and Seidel. Oh, that's when Danielson got his leg caught in the thing. Mm-hmm. Red Velvet, Chris Statlander, House of Black against some form of Dark Order. Looks like Uno 10 and Fuego. Fuego del Dark is what I would call that.
Oh, Fuego del Dark. I like that.
Yeah. Sean Spears versus a Giant. Danhausen and Hook shake hands. And Scorpio Sky demands the return of the TNT Championship, which is also a stupid storyline when the week before he had two of them and he said, go put that one away. And now all of a sudden one got stolen and he goes, whatever shall I do? It's like, what the
No, there was nothing.
It's just a piss poor way to introduce. They're customizing every TNT title for every single champion, which is a neat gimmick, but a tired one already, in my opinion. And so to try to build a storyline around what we already knew what was happening after we already saw two titles is weird. Just do it. Just give them the new title. Like, we already know what's happening.
Just imagine if, like, Joey Janela had gotten the TNT title, if they're doing this customization. Oh, man, that would have been freaking amazing.
It would have looked like those cardboard titles that the YOLO champions brought to WWE that one time.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Dave Dutra and AJ Hirsch. AJ Hirsch.
YOLO champions.
The Rock, when Rock had that challenge, the winner, Joseph Brody, Joe Brody. Foot slam.
Nice. Shakes, were you going to say anything about Rampage and the Scorpio Sky thing?
No, the only thing I want to say is, like, I really don't understand what Diamond Mind is.
That's NXT. We're not on NXT.
Yeah, we're not on NXT yet.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't think anyone understands.
But that just boggles me.
I agree.
Yeah. And you know what, Shakes? I don't think anybody understands the Diamond Mine thing. Hell, the people who are in Diamond Mine, I don't think know what the hell it is. So
It feels like it's gone through
Yeah.
a few iterations of trying to figure themselves out. Yeah, I'll give you that for sure.
But no, Rampage, but I definitely
Nothing.
watched Dynamite.
Didn't they
Rampage
bring
wasn't really too intriguing.
Sean Spears Giant? Was that the Big Kaz? Big Damo. That's who it was. It was Big Damo. I was really upset that's how they brought him in, man. Like, they brought in Damo just to get a loss so Sean Spears can go into this Wardlow match.
Damo's a beast.
Damo's a beast.
Believable one.
Yeah. I mean, Beast of Belfast, they called him. And he's hairy. He's like the animal. Like,
What was it,
they already
Big
have a
Cass?
hairy guy.
yeah. To bring him in just to lose to Sean Spears, jobber of the company since day one, just so we can think he might win against Wardlow, which no one even slightly believes. Like, this was not... Damo deserves better. Why don't we see that trending on Twitter?
Because
So I felt
actually,
like
a lot of their fan base likes Sean Spears. I know
No one
He
likes
probably-
Sean Spears.
exactly, but their fan base does. Because trust me, I think AEW fans like things that I'm like, really? Why would you like that?
I saw a lot of people saying that they don't understand why people aren't giving Sean Spears more credit. And I wanted to respond with, because even with as little credit as he's getting, it's too much. He's not good at any of this.
Yeah.
And should disappear.
He just had a gimmick that people yelled 10 at, and
Yes, and it is awful. He's been so awful for so long. He's a dude that I would like to see some like Psycho Sid stuff. You know what I mean? Like, just jump down from the second turnbuckle, snap your leg in half, and then the show can move along. You know what I mean?
Wow.
What?
Mark,
Oh.
that's how you
Can-
really feel.
Can
would
we
ju-
just
Early films.
can we just go into Dynamite so I can start shit talking? Because I'm ready to start shit
Let's
talking.
go. Let's talk Dynamite.
Because that
Dynamite
was the
open
first
up with
match-
Sean Spears again. God damn it.
You probably
Hey.
like, I'm done with this episode. Yeah.
I
When I
mean,
saw that, I'm like, great. Marsh isn't gonna watch this shit at all.
okay. So here's my thing. And Marsh, throw out that thing you talked to me about before we started about booking of the show, because I got
Okay.
some things I want to throw out here.
So from an overview of the show, which, by the way, I did watch it today, and all in all, I don't think it was inherently a bad episode of AEW. A lot of people were saying that they felt like the show was booked backwards. That they're like, oh, maybe it's the benefit of hindsight being 2020, but I would have put this in this order, this one here, this would go here. But the one thing everyone synonymously said was that they would have put the first match on last and ended the show with Wardlow looking like King Kong on top of the cage, screaming, "I'm coming for you, you dirty son of a bitch," or whatever he yelled. I don't know what he yelled. And I think everyone unanimously agreed that that's how the show should have ended and not started. Before we get into the booking concept of starting hot and all that, which I think Klump's going to dive into a little bit, Raj Giri, the founder of Wrestling Inc., who I'm a big fan of, he posted a response to somebody mentioning about how the show felt like it was booked backwards, which is, by the way, a critique I've seen mentioned about AEW a lot, especially in the last 2 months or so, that it feels like the show starts strong and peters out towards the end. Raj mentioned that for Dynamite, for whatever reason, the first two segments are always the two most highest rated segments, so it makes sense to him that they might book heavy up top because that's where they have the most viewers. I felt like that was almost a chicken or the egg conversation of, is it booked strong up top because it will peter out, or does it peter out because it's booked strong up top and people know it? Like, can you watch the first couple of segments and go, all right, well, I know the good stuff's out of the way, and tune in again later? Klump, you had something you want to say about that, and then we're going to go on to everybody else, see what they want to say.
So I was gonna say I agree with. To me, this should have been the end of the episode, and I feel like, if nothing else, because that end of the match, that you and I were talking about earlier, when people talk about AEW feeling like it's a kind of booked in reverse, what's a better into a show than a guy standing on top of a cage, pointing at the person he's going to beat, and a storyline you built for a long time? Yeah, it may not be the main event for the pay-per-view, but you've also been booking so much of your main event in the middle of the show. So I'm cool with this.
And
I'm cool.
It could be the main event. Believably, it's got that much heat behind it. That
Yeah.
if this was the main event on Double or Nothing, no one's going to scoff. Continue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think it was a great amount. Like, it had a weird middle to me in that I don't know why he didn't put Sean Spears in that power bomb at the end where he bounced off, because he just bounced some like tiny indie guy, which I felt bad for his ass. I'm like, fuck Sean Spears. Sean Spears should have taken that bump, and he didn't. Fuck Sean Spears for not taking that fucking bump. He should have taken that bump. Also,
the dude disappeared.
Yes, it would have been late. Imagine you do that at the end of the episode. You have that, and Wardlow put Sean Spears through the fucking ring. Like, the highlight I saw somebody like post like, and he's gone, and I was like watching like the powerbomb, and a part of me is like, oh shit, did he put him through the ring? That'd be dope. No, end it with Sean Spears going through the ring, and then Wardlow getting up and like pointing at MJF, who's there in shock, like, oh fuck, and then you just see AEW. Like, that's great to me. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That would have been great, you know. And you could have started the Owen Hart Invitational is not it's like King of the Ring, and that's great and all, but it's not the be all end all of this company.
No.
You know, the winner of the Owen Hart Invitational doesn't get a belt. They probably get a title. They get a title shot, I'm sure. They get a lot of steam behind them. That's great. It builds story. Awesome. But it's not building this big crescendo we're waiting for. You know? Yeah. And this was overall, I thought it was a great match. I liked what MJF did. I liked Wardlow. I liked Sean Spears getting his ass beat. I thought it was handled really well. It was
the most part. Solid, I didn't like the chair shot. I think Sean Spears, for being the quote chairman, he's got a weak ass chair swing, and then MJF just like went down like a cartoon, and that took a really long time. But outside of that,
and then,
it was fine.
And then he just laid there with his eyes open the whole time.
Well, they probably also don't want him to swing for the fences because he gave Cody a shit ton of stitches.
Yes, so, he did.
Chairman be damned, we're gonna chill you out because you're not great with this.
You're
also,
not a fake worker.
They did that weird thing where they're like, oh, the only way to win this is pinfall and submission. They don't have the exiting the cage as a win. So why the fuck is Sean Spears trying to climb out the fucking cage?
Well, he walked out to go get his chair, which he rested on the outside. That was kind of silly too. But it was, with as much as I think that stuff was kind of silly, in fairness, because I'm really harsh to them when I critique them, it didn't exactly pull me out of the match. I was just like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't ruin it by any means, but there were definitely, even in their good stuff, they can't help themselves but do a little bit of, like, silly shit. Like, they just can't. Even Sami Zayn, with as goofy as he is, somehow, bell to bell, you believe every fucking thing he's doing and why. You know what I mean? Like, there's a mastery to it. Shakes, what's your take?
I agree.
Klump.
I know, right?
I
agree, but
he's got a gallon of something there.
Half gallon. It's my fourth today.
Whoa.
All right. We'll have to talk about that offline. Go ahead, Shake. Sorry about that.
It's my colon. I'm sorry. I have to drink a lot of water because my colon's all shitty.
No.
Now I feel bad about my medical conditions. Fuck all of you. Go ahead, Shakes.
It's my fissures.
I didn't say anything. I just have weird faces like, oh, wow.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
So exactly the question, what is it about, Dynamite, or is this just that match particularly?
Both. Let's talk about that match, what you thought of it, and if you felt like it should have closed the show, or any of your thoughts on the idea that people are starting to criticize AEW feels booked backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is poorly booked, but I still find it very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
They still put a lot of stuff in it that allows the consumer to just stay tuned. And so I see it that way. They do they missed the ball on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, they missed the ball on a lot of things. So they could get better in that way, but they still have an entertaining product.
Sure. So then the question is kind of what I was leaning towards is the show in and of itself, bit by bit in bubbles, isn't bad content as you're going. It's not like this is awful, but do you think their build is scattered, right? Like where you could build a show to crescendo at the end and feel like you're dropping off hot, and then it goes off air and you go, God damn, I could have gone for some more. Or are they booking it reverse with all the hot stuff up front and it's petering as it goes, so by the time it ends you go, well, that was a nice show, and you're glad it's over. Like it's by the very end, okay. Like, to be honest, to me, the ending match, Samoa Joe versus Kyle O'Reilly, I was ready for that to be over. There was a certain point where I was like, this match is going too long.
I think the second part of what you said, like, it starts off real well, and then it's like, okay, when is this show over now? Like,
yeah.
Dang,
at a certain point,
hasn't
right?
been 2 hours yet, you know, like,
yeah.
God, yeah, so yeah.
And it's not for lack of quality
start
content.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lack of putting things in the right order, where you can build, where you go, okay, that was cool, and the next thing happens, you go, oh, that was real cool, and then like, you know what I mean? The idea is that you can build good stuff, and it feels more important as you go, but if you start with stuff that goes reverse, by the end of it, you go like, I'm not even into the main event anymore. You know what I mean? And you don't want that. You deflate it, yeah. It's just an interesting thing to think about, like the importance of match order and segment order, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Structure,
yeah. Good point. Amanda?
Well, you know, I'm not a fan of Tony's booking, as we know. So sometimes I have the problem of I question why things are in the places that they are.
Yes.
So for me, I don't think it's necessarily that it's being booked backwards. It's just booked kind of odd. And honestly, what they should have probably opened with was Hangman and Phil talking to get that shit out of the way, you know, and then, you know, go from there, because I wouldn't have opened with Joe and Kyle O'Reilly. I wouldn't have opened with that.
You know what I might have opened with, though? Realistically, when I look at this
Jungle
card?
Boy
The Jungle Boy, Strickland, and Starks, because that would have started off hot.
bro.
Yeah.
You great minds, minds.
I can't wait till we get to that. Oh my God. No, but I also wanted to point out too, remember the last time the AEW had very high ratings, higher, like for the second half of the show being higher rated than the first half. It was Darby versus Ricky Starks. Yeah, the skateboard one.
Yeah.
So that tells you that you can put something like that in the middle and it still be a success. Now, because it's odd that all of a sudden, hey, your second half, you're putting this match, and that got more buzz than in the beginnings of it. So it's very interesting in that sense. But
yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily backwards. It's just more of common sense, I would think.
Just scattered.
And things that should open don't open. And it's just the positioning of things. And
I think it does too. I think it hurts their product.
Yeah.
Because,
absolutely.
like I said, if you had all of this stuff in the right order, by the end of it, you'd be like, man, what an amazing episode. Yeah. But you put it all the same exact stuff in a different order, and by the end of it, you go, I'm ready for this to be over. Like, I just think that like he doesn't understand, or maybe he doesn't know what he's going to get with each segment either, because he's not so involved in the stuff like WWE's too involved, right? Maybe he doesn't know what he's getting on each segment to where he doesn't know what order, you know?
But I think with him, this is the issue, is that nobody backstage is going to tell him this kind of sucks. He has too many yes men back there, people kissing his ass, and no one is going to, say, Tony, this is kind of funky. Even people who've, been in the industry a long time. Like, if you've got, like, I don't know, like Jerry Lynn, he's not going to, they're not going to say anything, and it's just, it kind of is. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. And another hot opener would have been like FTR and Roppongi Vice.
Potentially. That could have worked in that spot
Ring of Honor, no one really kind of cares about Ring of Honor, let's be honest, right now. So that would have been a good one because you're reintroducing it. Ring of Honor, for me, Las Vegas, Ring of Honor, they come twice a year, and it was always a really great show because it was the one that was right before usually Supercard of Honor or a big show. And then the other one in September was always a big one as well. So
That's a
for
good
me,
call.
it's
That's a good call
there's a
too.
nostalgia.
Well, let's go through the show a little bit. Knowing now that we've talked about kind of the booking feeling a little bit sporadic and feel like it was actually damaging to the presentation of it because the moments by themselves, like I said, felt like overall decent. And when you really scope out, you go, nothing was just absolute garbage by any means. But by the end of the show, you felt a little worn out when you feel like if I saw it in a different order, I don't know I would have felt the same way. But it did start with the cage match. We heard a lot about what Klump thought about it. We heard a lot about what I thought about it. Shakes, what exactly did you feel about the cage match in and of itself?
This is between who?
Cage match. Sean Spears and Wardlow and MJF in his best HBK.
I think it was a good match.
Cosplay.
I just was kind of confused with the referee part of it. Like I knew like MJF is not going to give you a 3 count.
Yes.
It's just not going to do it. So what are they going to do here? How are they going to twist this? And the way they did it, having Spears knock him out with the chair, and like I said, that was funny how he just laid there with his eyes open the whole damn time. I mean, for like 10 minutes, bro. Like, I mean, wow, that chair shot was really amazing. Yeah. So
hardest chair shot known to man.
Man, I don't never want to feel that one. So so yeah, I got how they ended it, and because at first I was questioning how they was even going to get to that route, but I got it. And then like what I really liked is when he was beating up the security guards, like I said, the dude was gone. I mean, he powerbombed him through the gate, and then after that he fell somewhere, and we don't even know where he fell to. He fell into the abyss somewhere. I don't know, bro. That was crazy. So I like that match.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent match overall. Amanda, any thoughts on that?
It was okay. I'm just kind of like get on with it with Wardlow because they really like to drag out the MJF's crap longer than it should. So for me, when I went into watching this, I was like, well, I'm glad it opened in a way because then I don't have to sit through it.
Do you think, because a lot of people are saying that this is evident to them that Wardlow is a massive, massive star for the company, and I can't tell if I actually believe that Wardlow's coming off as a big star so much as he's the other half of the MJF segment. You know what I mean? Like he's one half of the MJF stuff, and MJF is so over to that crowd that they're going to boo MJF relentlessly and cheer anyone they put him against. You know what I mean? Is being in a program with MJF really star-making, though? You know what I mean? That's what I wonder. And we won't know until we get to the other side, to be honest.
And really, I don't even think that is the case. And Wardlow is a star in his own right. And I think they already pushing that because they see that he's a star factor. The crowd really loves him. They really react to him. So I think that's what AEW is banking on. But to double down on it and have MJF as a legitimate heel, a legitimate rival, that I think that's what they're doing. But like you said, they may be dragging it out a little bit too much.
Yeah. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with Wardlow in the next couple months. After the MJF program, what happens to Wardlow on if he's really a big star or not. You know what I mean? Like, I think the potential's there for sure. I just don't know what it means on the other side.
Well, I think on the other side with it is really, to be quite honest, is you have to challenge some of those big guys.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Keith Lee, because I don't know, Keith Lee is going to be a little while till he's starting to get his groove back, but it's not the same. But you need to have him against like a powerhouse Hobbs, and to see, because he hasn't really been tested on people that he's wrestled. You haven't seen that yet. I mean, you get people who are kind of 3 thrown at the side and it's making him look strong. Okay, yeah, he's beating up indie security workers, you know? Yeah, and I'm like, you need to prove yourself. And in my opinion, he has not improved it. He has not proved himself to me. So I'm like, yeah, you're just part of the MGF fold.
Yeah.
Can you get rid of it? I don't know.
That's kind of where I sit with him, that he feels like part of the MJF package right now, and I really want to see once he breaks on his own, how he fares on his own. What were you going to say, Shakes?
I'm sorry. And I said Diamond Mine earlier, right? Because it was NXT. I guess that was on my head. But and I guess it kind of is the same group to me when I think about it. But on the AEW side, America's Top Team. That's another thing I just can't understand. What the hell is America's Top Team?
No idea. I've got nothing for them. They had a promo on there too, and it felt like a lot of pointless jabber to me. And all it really boiled down to is, hey, we made a custom title for Scorpio Sky. Wait till you see it. That's what the whole thing felt like to me. I don't understand why they're together. I don't understand how they're helping each other. And like none of it makes any sense. They're one of those segments where I just accepted it happened to move on. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you on that. I don't know. I don't have insight on that. Klump, you got any?
The name is terrible. Like you couldn't come up with nothing else. Nothing else. America's Top Team.
Isn't that what he called himself in the UFC world? Wasn't that what he called his own little training camp, America's Top Team? I thought that's where it came from. His real life training camp. Which I agree with you is a terrible name for his training camp, but it has purpose.
A training camp? I mean, it was horrible as a wrestling group. You mean to tell me that's actually a training camp named America's Top Team? Come on, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Klump started America's Bottom Team. Didn't go as we thought it would.
It's actually it was more of a not safe for work thing, and I'd appreciate you not bringing that up, Marsh.
It's spiraled out of control.
It's a side project.
Hey, Klump, you're a little sensitive today, Klump. What's going on?
It's all good. You know, we can talk about America's Bottom Team, sponsored by Bad Dragon.
I got a lot of sticker around here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're a bunch of empty men looking to be fulfilled.
Yeah. Yep. Here we go.
Something. Yeah.
Do you have any? You know what? Let's move on to the next segment. There, though. Hangman Page and CM Punk. I want to know what you guys thought about this. Let's start with Kev, or not Kev, Klump.
Fuck you,
Klumplar. I'm gonna call you Klumplar tonight. We had the mighty return of Kevlar yesterday, and I'm still riding high on it. So, Klump.
Okay, I mean, hell yeah.
The Ironics. I love
the Ironics. Yep.
I left it thinking like, okay, cool. It's nice to see some personality here. Like we're trying to create like a good guy, bad guy thing, but it felt half-assed. Like I appreciated what Paige is trying to do there. I appreciated Paige trying to bring some questions to CM Punk, but it felt like he kept pulling punches. Like when he said when he brought up like you wear these shirts and talk about people being, you know, union guys and workers' rights, I wanted him to go further. I wanted him to say like, but you yourself are a guy riding coattails. You're not one of the boys. You're who the boys aspire to be, which is fantastic. But you're here making a bigger paycheck than any one of us. You're here coming for my belt because you're booked to do so. I would have loved the fuck out of that, but it was very half-assed and passive. And it felt to me like they had a lot more in somebody, probably last name Brooks, was like, nah, let's not do that. That's a bit much. And it could have been amazing. You know, I feel, to me, like in NXT, Joe Gacy as a character is using the idea of modern culture as in a progressive sense to be the opposite of it and be evil and cruel. And I feel like you could really do that with CM Punk and really argue that, because I feel like, and we've talked about this a lot, when CM Punk comes out and brings the world outside into wrestling, he's celebrated, but he comes off and could be very good as a hypocritical figure.
Yes.
He is.
You know, he is, and could play into that. I would respect it if they did it more, because I don't knock the causes he backs up. I get that that's cool and all, but I feel here, if you want to go further, that'd be fantastic for Adam Page to argue it. Like, you haven't.
Yeah.
When was the last time you had to teach school while you did shows? When was the last time you had to quit your career that were going for and take that risk to do something? But no, it just felt half-assed.
How many risks have you taken since you left? You know what I mean? You can't even call UFC a risk. They paid you $2 million to lose fights twice.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The company that the whole reason you're here, you shit talk another company, and they pay, and you got paid to work with them.
Yeah. They made you this.
Mm-hmm. And you took advantage of that, came back in as an analyst? What are you doing here? But it felt kind of half-assed. And I would have loved that, somebody who does like CM Punk. If they went that far, I feel that would have been more interesting for Punk to respond to that. And
yeah. I want to hear from Shakes. What do you think of Page and Punk? And you can tack on to what he's saying or not.
No. I love what Klump's saying. I love what everybody brings to this podcast here. But what I would say is, I kind of agree with Klump. They could have done more, and I don't like the fact that CM Punk kind of downplayed it, and it, to me, it don't make it where I've been saying, like, for a week now, right? We were saying this last week. I'm like, yeah, CM Punk, they gonna turn him heel, and she was making a face at me and everything, like, no. But when this happened, it made me change my whole mind now. Like, he could have really went that heel route right there. He could have went for the juggler, and he didn't. And then the same with Page. Like, he could have really threw some haymakers, and instead he was just jabbing, jab, 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 jab. It was like watching the Mayweather fight.
Yeah. Amanda, what did you want to say about the?
First of all, I love Hangman's new shirt. By the way, I need to get that on their sale.
It was neat.
And it wasn't black, so shout out to you, Hangman, for that choice, if that was even your choice. But anyways, to kind of coattail on what Klump said, there's only one person, and we all know who I'm going to say, that really will be the most effective.
That has nothing to do with this segment, Amanda.
I'm letting him know. I am letting him know, and I'm letting all of you know. We all know who it is. But anyways,
She's talking about booty.
I think.
No, she's talking about Colt Cabana again.
Yeah, I'm talking about Cabana.
I said, what do you think about what Hangman said? Well, here's the thing about Colt, is what she does.
I was responding to Klump. Okay? Yeah. If you want someone to do it, that's who to do it, and he can do it, and it's really going to make him look like even more of an asshole because of the situation.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's someone who might be willing to push further than Phil's willing to go. Could be a dude like Colt, because at the end of the day, what are you gonna fucking do? Fire me and I still make fucking like $3 a shirt?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
$3 yet. I know it's only $1. It might be more.
I think it's
now.
more than $1 at this point. I think it started as $1. I think it's more than $1 right now, if I'm being honest.
No, it did not start as $1, by the way. FYI. Okay. That I do.
All right.
Anyway. I know you don't know about contracts, but I heard I've heard it from the horse's mouth. But anyways, because someone joked. But anyways, Hangman, I think they wanted to use this opportunity for Hangman to be a little bit more vocal, try to get that mic time and those skills, because he really hasn't had that, And why not go to one of the supposed best talkers in the game?
Yes.
So I think with Hangman, it almost felt like he was frustrated.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone got that. Because in the way I saw it was the frustration he had and the way he was delivering everything to me was like, he knows it says to me, he's going to lose the belt. And it's very frustrating. And I think for him, as someone who he was one of the first people in the company. And he kind of, he did what he had to do, and they kind of screwed him over. And then it was like, well, it's too little, too late. And then now look at what happened. They give him the belt, and it's not that long. And it's going to someone who, really was only really there, I think, because it was something that Vince couldn't do.
He came back for his own self-indulgence. He didn't come back for them. He came back for him because it was going to make
him and Tony
him
Khan, and he's like, hey. So
yeah.
I think that's where you see with Hangman. Now with Phil, I mean, he probably could have gone on and on and on. He chose not to because I think he's like, yeah, airtime, because it could get too much. And I think that at the end of the day, he's done enough talking at this point that it's like, for me, it's put up or shut up. But, I think he's going to get the keys to the kingdom. Is it deservedly so? No. But then again, I didn't pay him $7 million a year or whatever to do what he does.
So I think it's interesting too, because I feel that I'm somewhere between all of it, and I'm usually pretty slanted on this stuff, if I'm honest, with my own bias. Like, why wouldn't I be? Let's realistically, this is all about embracing your bias and leaning in, right? But I felt like this whole time Hangman Page's title run has been too little, too late. They made him champion when it didn't matter anymore. They gave him a shitty story. They paused it for so long and came back to it. People said, that's long-term story. And you said, no, it's just a pause in story. It's like if you take 3 days to watch a movie, it's not a 3-day long movie. It's a movie that took you 3 days to watch because you kept falling asleep, right? I know from experience.
All right. Okay.
I know from experience.
Moving on.
Yeah, that's the problem, is moving on. So it's not long-term story if you just fall asleep at the wheel. And that's what's been happening with Hangman Page. Everyone's been falling asleep at the wheel with him. Every single match, every single title shot he's had, at this point, I just go, whatever. Too little, too late. He's not important. He's literally your mid-card champion. The TNT title goes on afterwards most of the time. He's always in the middle somewhere. And he's not even top of the hour middle. He is middle. This promo here, it felt like Page was frustrated. It felt like he was angry. It felt like he was being held back by Punk's creative. And all of a sudden, I felt like, I'm gonna be pretty fucking mad if they put this on Punk right now. Where before, I was really honestly like, I don't give a shit who's got it when it comes out because it doesn't matter either way. I've really felt like it didn't matter who the champion is right now. But after this promo and seeing Page talk the way he was about Punk, I felt the same as Klump, where I feel like, why isn't he taking that extra step? Why is he stopping at the line of, it's ironic that you say these things, but that's not who you are in the back? What's the next sentence? What's that next, you did this to prove that, right? He just had to stare at him. And then like Shake said, Punk's then super dismissive. Kind of leans down a little bit. Like, he leaned down like he was talking to a child. I don't know why you're so mad, Hangman.
It's
Condescending, patronizing little shit. And I was all like, fuck that guy. If that dude walks away with the title, I'm going to be fucking pissed for Page. And I didn't even give a shit he was a champion last week. You know what I mean? So for me, I was seeing all those kind of things you guys are mentioning, but it actually made me feel something this time. I feel like someone brought up a point that I think that they were on the edge of saying and they didn't say it, and it's a habit of AEW to not go the extra step. When Punk became Ring of Honor champion, he then went on about how he's going to go to WWE because that's the big show, this is lesser than. And he had that whole Summer of Punk thing, he had the whole contract signing thing. He was an anti-champion champion. He was a babyface into the championship and then too big for his own ego once he got it. The Summer Punk Part 2 in WWE. He gets the championship, and it's this company's terrible. This company's awful. It doesn't treat me right. Look at, I'm the champion. I'm not even going on main event. John Cena's still your top guy, but I'm your champion. And it was this anti-WWE storyline throughout the entire time he was the fucking champion. Paige, by saying, I'm protecting AEW from you, they were one step away from saying, the last thing we need is another champion who doesn't respect where he works. You know what I mean? Like, they were so close to all that. But it to me, I thought this was pretty cool because I was like, well, I'll be damned. Walking out of this, I felt like Punk came off looking weaker then. He did not come off as a stronger talker in this segment. Anybody?
You know how I feel about Phil. But, with Hangman, damn right he should be standing up for AEW. I mean, because I'm sure that he's probably one of the ones who is really frustrated about, hey, there's these guys who came in and, started this foundation of something that obviously it's not anymore. It's kind of gone away from it.
Yeah.
And, and I get it. And he probably sees, people who are there and they're like, they're not doing anything. And it's like, what the hell? Because you're giving all of these people who you're paying a lot of money to that shine when it really wasn't supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
So, when I look back on it and I'm like, yeah, that's probably another big reason why Cody left too, is because he was committed to that. Because anytime you ever saw him talk about, AEW in the in the baby days, it was always about, there was a passion about it.
Yeah.
Now it's completely different. So I'm thinking, okay, and Hangman knows probably in his heart, it's like, it'd be great to beat him, but that ain't gonna happen because, it's all about, this is the guy that we're paying a lot of money and I guess we want our money's worth.
Yeah.
Well, you did, because you made a lot of money on his t-shirts.
Yeah.
And because I think there was an episode of Dynamite kind of early on when he first came back, and it seemed like everybody was wearing his shirt. And I'm like, God, you fucking lemmings. Jesus Christ. I don't own one of his. I only own one shirt of his. And that was because I thought it was cool because I'm a hockey fan. And it was his head as the Blackhawks.
That's
Indian hat. I thought that was really cool. But then I don't have it anymore because Phil. Yeah. That whole thing pissed me off and I got rid of it.
Yeah.
But I really do think that with Hangman, a lot of people, he's representing a lot of people in the back. And I think he's also representing a lot of these fans who think that this kind of shit is bullshit. Because I felt that. You're like, you're representing me. Not because I don't like Phil. It's just, these people coming in are getting more time than people who've either A, been a pillar of this company and started from the get, or two, came aboard and they're amazing, awesome stars, but you throw them on internet TV. Yeah. So
and I think I spoke on that earlier as far as, that's what happened with WCW, right?
Yes.
And they started to pay and cherish and give more time on TV, the airtime, to the guys that they got from WWE. And the guys that they already had from WCW felt slighted.
Yep.
And it's the same thing here. It's like they're doing the same thing. They're giving WWE guys the time, the money, and then they say AEW, move aside. And what you do when you do that is you minimize your company, because then you're saying that is a bigger platform over there.
Yep.
They have better guys over there. If they come over here, they'll dominate over here.
Yeah. Yep.
You're minimizing your own company, and I can see where the disdain that you had spoke of, Amanda, that was in his voice and Adam Page, and I seen it too. That's why I said what I said. I
Yeah.
can see that there's some frustration there.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I loved it. I've been so cold on this whole Page reign that I watched it and then kind of had to stop and like stare for a minute and go, damn, I'm feeling something about this right now. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't given one shit about anything CM Punk has said or done since he's shown up. I haven't given one shit about Hangman Page as a champion since he has been. You know, sorry, I'm not trying to disrespect them. I just haven't. Is what it is. I'm not saying I disrespect them as people or performers. I just haven't cared. This one promo made me sit back and go, oh shit, I really don't want Page to lose this.
Probably unintentional.
It might have been unintentional altogether. They might have been trying to get me to root for Punk.
Right?
But.
And they did that total opposite.
Yeah, but that happens. And at the end of the day, John Cena has said it. Roman Reigns have said it. Literally, the greats say it. I don't care if you're booing, if you're cheering. I don't care if you're 50-50, as long as you are upset enough to make noise one way or the other, right? And I felt like making noise. So, Moxley and Kingston against Private Party. Was there anything about that you guys want to talk about? Only thing I had of note was that Kingston was out there wrestling in sneakers, compression socks, and basketball shorts, and I thought he could have just been a fan. He literally walked out from the outside. I wouldn't have known.
Well, he did that on the indies a lot. He didn't care. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but that's what it ends up looking like, and you're on fucking national TV now, so maybe you should look like you give a fuck.
Well,
because I'll tell you, people, when I go to, because see, the thing is I can go down to like a restaurant and can tell who gives a fuck or not, and I have just the same level of lack of respect for them. You don't give shit enough to comb your goddamn hair before you come to work? Like, all right, well then I don't give a shit if I tip you. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
but also in this vein of everything is, I think that with Kingston, you got to take this into consideration that they've really kind of fucked him over. He was very, very strong, and then I keep saying it. Sparkler Gate happened. Now he looks like a chump, and all that other shit. And it's like, why should you? Why, if I were him, why should I fucking care? Why should I fucking care?
Yeah. I can't disagree with that at all. I was such a big Kingston fan coming out of NWA. I was like, this is the dude. The second he showed up, I was like, he's going to change everything. He should be there. He's the best talker. And then everything after the whole Sparkler and after, I just went like, why the fuck did they castrate my guy? Like, they've made him feel like nothing. And so then to see him come out and fucking like this, I was like, I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't make me like root for you.
I'm waiting for Jazzwares to bring out the pack that's Mox and Kingston with sparklers. I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting.
What's funny is they had the Mox and Omega from that match, and also like, oh, where's the Kingston sleeping?
Yeah.
Klump, I got my Bad Dragon glass you gave me as a gift, Klump.
Hell yeah.
Sponsored, not sponsored.
I threw out that Gurkha. It got rough. I switched to the Caldwell.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Hey, you know what? You get a fireball in your face. I'm a wizard.
Do you like the wizard stuff, Shakedown? Shakes?
Hey, I think it's funny, man. I think it's funny. I love that line. What happens? Well, you get a fireball in your face, because I'm a wizard. Like, where does that come from? Like, what, like, what, why?
Must be watching some Harry Potter.
Part of me,
a lot.
I mean, part of me is like, Jericho takes this as a challenge, like, yo, I'm gonna do this, and I'm not giving up. Like, he's gonna do it. Fuck you. He's gonna go. It's not. It's a challenge to him. Like, okay, here's this dumbass idea. I got it. I'll make it work. By virtue, like, you're going for the ride. I'm not giving up, which I respect. And if it was anyone else, it can't work. But I will give Jericho it works.
All right.
You'll
Then I'll
a
hold my
fireball
peace.
in your face because he's a wizard.
But you know what I'm waiting for?
And say the right thing.
I am waiting for them to go back to like Orlando, as much as I don't want them to keep out west.
Yeah.
And I want someone to go to like the Harry Potter thing and get one of those custom wands and give it to Jericho. Because, you know, he's a wizard.
Because he's a wizard.
Mhm.
I want Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid, to come out and say, "You're a wizard, Chris," and just that's it. They have the money.
That would
But, you
make a
know,
good
Tony
scene.
doesn't think of these things, you know? I should be on his payroll, you know?
All right. Give him a call.
I know people there.
People. Let's see.
References.
Let's see. I don't have anything else to add on that one because
Because he's a wizard. You don't need
Because
to
he's a
add
wizard. See, there you go.
ROH
Fireball in your face.
ROH Tag Champs FTR against Roppongi Vice, Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero. We do have the interference at the very end with Jeff Cobb and, as JR called him, some other guy. United Empire, I believe, is what they're called.
Yep, sadly. I'm waiting for Jeff to overthrow Ocean Spray.
The Great Okan, right?
On.
Here's what I thought about it. The match itself was solid. The interference was interesting, if nothing else. For whatever reason, Great Okan came off as the sloppiest dude. Yeah. I have a feeling he's actually quite good, is my gut, but nothing he did landed the right way. Nothing was timed well. It was all just such a mess. I was like, who is this goof? And what a shame that this is how we're introduced to him, because he's just messing up every single move he's doing. I don't know Great Okan. I'm going to lean on you guys to tell me if that's how he is or if this was a one-off. I'll start with Klump, and then we'll go to Amanda.
Isn't he Great Okan like related to Jado? Like, is he attached to like Jado? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Like, I get it, and like he's an older dude doing his best, and that's awesome. But like, the Iron Claw thing is where I was like, okay, fuck is this? Like, it just seemed, it was like, this is a very awkward way to throw somebody through a table, and boy, oh boy, you ruined all the goodwill that Jeff Cobb just built for you. You know, it sucked. Also, I was annoyed to start because I love Jeff Cobb. I'm happy to see it, but did we need it to fuck the match up? Because it was a good match. It would have been great to see either one of these guys win, and then have this happen. Okay, cool.
Do you think how is Great Okan like actually good, or is he like not one of the best guys over there?
He is like the runner, like he runs the company. He's like one of the bookers.
Oh.
He's Kevin Sullivan.
Okay.
Grado.
I mean, but Sullivan was good.
Yeah.
At a time.
and that's kind of the thing is like, Grado was great when 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for a while. He's having fun. That's great. But Minoru Suzuki, he is not. Like it.
Amanda.
He's not even Tai Chi. Okay. Let's go there. And I hate Tai Chi. Those damn rip-off pants. No, Great Okan has not been that great.
Did you seriously just? The mic picked all of that up.
I'm thinking, Klump. You know what happens when I think hard. I'm
that
taking in a lot of information. I have a release valve.
Just like Great Okan, that's not great.
It's how I know if I'm on the same page as you. You know
that
what I mean?
needs to be like, isolate that. That needs. If you don't put that on Instagram, I'll be fucking pissed. Because that was the loudest, most like, that was the fakest, loudest, like most upsetting part I've ever heard.
We got that New Year's one still around with the ranch in it. One that old Gabe quit the show over. Gabe hasn't been back since. I don't think that's an accident.
God damn.
I don't know.
Are you gonna step away from the mic? Like, let us talk for a minute so you go check your fucking pants.
No need.
Oh,
They're just filters at this point.
Oh, No need. They
I'm
are
just
filled.
gonna let it sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, go let it sit.
Producer lady, we're drowning here.
She stepped out to do laundry. That's how I knew I had a moment.
Oh God. I am telling. Anyways.
This member bought. No, you don't need to tell. She's gonna walk in and go, "What the fuck?" It's just,
Yeah. She's probably like in the laundry room, like, what the fuck?
Just getting
Yeah.
she
mad.
senses the disturbance of the force.
Exactly.
Yeah. She's just like,
Go back to disturbing the force. Okay, this match, as most of you all know, I was gonna go to Dynamite and Rampage.
Yep.
That did not happen. I got the worst FOMO when I heard Roppongi Vice, and I'm like, oh, because I've never seen Roppongi Vice live. I love Roppongi Vice. Like years, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are great. Because that's where kind of my love for Trent Beretta comes from. Because him and Rocky are such a solid unit together. And dare I say, Trent Beretta's better with Rocky than he ever was with Best Friends. I'll go there. You can at me. So I was a little sad. Great match. Because I like FTR and I like Roppongi Vice, and I thought it was great. Not great was when Klump came out. My heart was like, yay, Ohana. And then I'm like, oh no. And then just watching Great O'Connor, I'm like, oh, this is shitty now. You just ruined this whole thing,
He was outrageously sloppy. It was
I know.
weird.
It was bad. And I'm like, Jeff is making you look like gold. What are you doing?
Oh.
And yeah, so I just was kind of like, man, you just took a very, very great match. And hopefully we're going to see this again, FTR and Roppongi Vice, without this bullshit in it. Because I think what's going to happen is they're setting this up for the New Japan show.
Oh, yeah, the Forbidden Door show.
Yeah, which I don't particularly like that, in the sense that, what team would have been great with these guys? I'm sorry, Dangerous Techers, which, if you don't know who that is, it's Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr. with Suzuki Gun. I mean, for me, that would have been oh God, that would have been, like, if I were Meltzer, that would have been a 6-star match.
Against FTR?
FTR and Roppongi Vice.
A triple threat. Okay.
Yeah, a triple threat. Now, but I said, like it would be a Dave Meltzer 6-star. However, since it's not at the Tokyo Dome, it loses some points, so it'll only be a 4.75-star match.
But it is in the Forbidden Door, which means it's almost in an entity all in of itself.
Yeah, but the United Center is no goddamn Tokyo Dome. Yeah.
Right. But
Tokyo
is the
Dome
Forbidden Door a portal?
No.
So you can get the essence of the Tokyo Dome also, because if they can book the legacy of Owen Hart, why can't they book the essence of Tokyo Dome?
Because you can't.
All right, well,
you just can't. I mean, if anyone has ever seen a Wrestle Kingdom, you can't. That's almost like 50,000 people. It's like the Japanese WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
Shakes, do you ever watch NJPW? Do you keep up with anything in the Japanese world?
No.
Okay, so then I want your specific, because I wanted to start with them because they know more about NJPW than me and you. So for them to hear that Great O'Con was coming out and they both immediately went like, oh no, you and I were kind of probably on the same boat of going like, oh, who's this? What did you think once you actually saw Great O'Con and Jeff Cobb interact with all of them?
You mean in the Roppongi Vice match?
Yes. In the Roppongi Vice match with FTR, when Jeff Cobb and Great O'Con showed up, what did you think of Great O'Con and Jeff Cobb?
I actually... Did I catch that? I don't think I caught that.
You don't think at the end of the match?
No. But, I was sitting there, like, really confused. Like, did Best Friends break up? Because when I seen it, I was like, Roppongi Vice. I was like, oh, man. And I remember we were speaking and talking about it last week, about that disbanding.
Yeah.
And so when I seen it, I was like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
I guess they did disband. And so to see it, I was interested to see, okay, well, what are they going to do with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the match was sloppy.
Mm.
The match was like, ugh. So for me, that's where I guess I walked away or whatever and didn't
Checked
catch the
out.
end.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I gotta apologize real quick. So Grado Khan is not
Yeah.
Grado.
Oh.
That's a separate guy who is in his 40s, who is the booker. Grado Khan is like 30.
Mm.
He is new. He is significantly larger because Grado's like 5'5".
Okay.
So, oops. I apologize. My journalistic integrity is
But
gone.
I thought they were. He was related to
No,
them.
no, he's not. He's um,
So it's
and
not...
the longer I go into this, the more I feel like I just was like, he looks the same. I mean, he does look very similar to Grotto with a beard.
And
Because they
and
do
in
that beard shit.
essence, Grotto as one word versus Great Ocon.
Mhm.
It's not the biggest stretch to be like Grotto and Grado.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, it's not.
Don't
the biggest...
forget Jado.
um,
Yeah. Don't laugh. No.
Then also they posted a ton on social media today of Great Ocon celebrating in Vegas, and it was him squeezing the asses of strippers on the strip. He was riding a big old wiener, like one of those, those electric bulls. He was on one of those, but it was a giant wiener he was hugging.
Real quick, Marsh.
Yeah.
I think I did catch that though.
Okay, go ahead.
That last joint. When they would cause they supposed to be going for the tag titles that FTR
ROH
has,
titles.
right?
Yeah, the ROH ones.
Okay, all right, yeah, I did catch that. Yeah, but wasn't really interested.
Okay. I thought
obviously it just slipped my mind.
the weirdest part to me was that in this essence, they showed that in NJPW, they'd rather come after the ROH titles than the AEW titles.
Because they have that long-standing relationship for years with.
And that's what I'm confused about. Is like,
yeah, with ROH
titles are they really counting here in AEW?
Well,
I mean,
no one knows.
That's true.
Nobody knows.
That's true. But if you're trying to build the Forbidden Door is AEW versus NJPW, and you're trying to build the AEW's the number 2 or the number 1 or the biggest company and the place to be, then why do you have people internationally coming over and saying we want the Ring of Honor championships? You're like, oh, the one that doesn't have a TV show, the one that we bought out, the one that went out of business. Like, why aren't they attacking the AEW tag team champions? Is my point. Is that inadvertently, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have done this, but inadvertently it does put it does undermine their own tag team championships. You know what I mean? And I think they need to be careful with that. You can get away with it from time to time, but they got to be careful. And the next people who show over have got to go after the AEW titles. You know what I mean?
What I think that is probably my opinion with this is Japanese New Japan fans know of Ring of Honor because of all the years they were doing like Global Wars and this, that, and the other. So it's already a like known entity. So I think that with them, that's their way of getting Japanese fans kind of integrated into AEW. That's not Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they got to be careful with it.
Yeah, but in a way too, with Jeff Cobb and the history of Jeff Cobb with Ring of Honor, he was television champion. He was a great television champion, and he became a huge fan favorite over at Ring of Honor. So I'm not surprised that those people who are like heavy like Ring of Honor people are like, oh my God, Cobb's back, and he's gonna, you know, they're going to involve him somehow in Ring of Honor, which I think is, you know, outstanding. So I think that that's what you're seeing right there. But then also when you look at it too, is they also, I think, use FTR as kind of like the extending the hand of friendship and an olive branch. So again, makes total sense, because I have a feeling that next time they do World Tag League, I think is what it's called, or I'm maybe mixing it with Noah, but you're going to see FTR in that. I guarantee it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that makes sense. But as they do have viewers who don't watch Ring of Honor and don't watch NJPW. So I am saying to those viewers, they're watching people come all the way from Japan to go after the Ring of Honor champions, and it makes it seem like the AEW Tag Team champions aren't as important. And all I'm saying is that they just got to be careful with it. You can get away with it from time to time for sure. At some point, people have to be coming across the seas to go after your shit, not just the shit you bought from someone else. You know what I mean?
And also, too, the average AEW fan doesn't really know about New Japan as much as, whatever. And I think that they're like, oh, yeah, they're coming over at the Forbidden Door. No, it's one of those things where a lot of people, I think, in fandom like to be an expert on things. And there are quite a few people in the AEW fandom who do. But I'm like, you need to do your homework with this. Because if you know anything or whatever, you really should understand all of the ties with this.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot to it.
Yeah, there is a lot to it. And I think that it's fantastic in a way, but it also puts Tony in a spot of, what are you going to do with Ring of Honor?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people who are questioning, oh, you're just going to use it as developmental. And then you say you don't have plans to do anything at that one media scrim. And, he's got to tread very lightly with this.
He's got to do something.
And especially if you're kind of now bringing people in who were a pretty big part of that,
What do you think he does? What do you think he does? What do you think he does with Ring of Honor and now with New Japan?
Well, New Japan, he'll never get to buy that. Never. Now, if Harold was still around, maybe Harold would have considered that, but whatever. But I think with Tony right now, he obviously bought Ring of Honor for selfish reasons because of the tape collection.
Yeah.
That library is just massive. And I think that with Tony, sometimes he's very predictable, but it's when he's unpredictable, it's scary. So I know he's probably now has had like 4, 5, 6 different, ways he's told this is what I'm going to do with Ring of Honor. But to be quite honest, I don't think he has a damn clue.
I don't think he has a plan. I think I agree with you that his whole point was to get the tape library, and now he has the tape library and all this other stuff, and everyone's asking about everything except the tape library. And in his mind was, what about the tape library? Why aren't you guys asking where that's going to be? And they're all like, no, we get that. That's going to be a part of a thing. Like that tells its own story. What's going to happen with the whole product and its legacy and everything like that? I don't think he's had that figured out. I think he's towing the line in those conversations when he can. But let's keep moving a little bit. Jungle Boy Strickland, FTW champion, absolute Ricky Starks, Starkey baby. We can start. Who wants to start with what they thought of this match?
I thought it was a good match.
Oh, Klump said yes. Go Klump.
I'll jump in. I thought it was a good match. I thought, these are 3 fantastic workers.
Yeah.
They did the work. I loved what Ricky was doing, like playing the shitty heel the whole way through. I was like, this is great.
You saw him yell at the fan?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. I was so pissed that they cut away from that, because for me, I know the dude. And when the dude's really pissed, that was not work. That was real shit. Because I heard the fan first, oh, you missed. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, you're gonna, yeah, that's not one person.
That was when they were lucky they were in a big venue and in a national TV setting. Because if that was in an indie show, Ricky said some fighting words. Like, that'd have been a fight.
Yeah.
Because Ricky messed up, the fan pointed it out, and then Ricky calls him a punk ass bitch. I know people who have thrown a lot more fists for a lot less words. Like, I was like, oh.
Well, Ricky could have been like the dude wailing on that one guy.
That's what I'm saying. That would have been messy if it wasn't AEW. So I was actually happy with how that played out. But let's go back. Klump, continue.
No, I thought it was a great match. I mean, everyone in it did good. I loved how Swerve and Jungle Boy started out like, you know, clearly the two faces, and then everyone it became a war of taking advantage. I thought all three, especially like I thought Swerve was the glue here.
Yeah.
Like to two very different styles because Jungle Boy was doing high flying, and Ricky's to me always comes up as much more grounded. Like he's a kind of old school style, but Swerve made both work really well together. And to me, he was the highlight of he was the star of it. The way he, he would at one point where they just bounced Jungle Boy between them, like, no, you're not doing this to me. You're gonna do Hurricane Run on Starks, and it fucking looked beautiful. This to me was one of the best AEW matches I've seen in a long time, even though it was it was fairly quick, and it was a really good triple threat because triple threats to me, they border like either good, but they usually tend to be like, okay, we're going to be a train wreck. It's going to be a lot of shit because we can. And it was good, and it wasn't one where like, there was a lot of points of somebody resting, but it worked in this. It wasn't like it was balanced really well. So I was a huge fan of it.
I'll say that the only critique I had was there were times and moments. I wouldn't say the match on whole, but there were times and moments I felt like they were doing too much too fast and they weren't selling enough. There was definitely moments where I felt like this is pretty indie-rific, right? This is how cool would it be if we accomplished this thing physically, much the same as like on a video game or in a stunt film, and not how believable is this move to pull off and why would I actually do it psychology-wise. But with that in mind, a few moments of that, surrounded by three of my absolute favorites in general doing what they do, it was easy to forgive and just be along for the ride. And it was, I thought, an awesome match, especially for AEW. This is exactly the kind of match I don't think you would get in WWE. And I think this is exactly the kind of reason that an AEW needs to and should exist, is to have that talent like this, to be able to pull off something like this on a platform like this. Like this, to me, was like perfect AEW wrestling with perfect people who know how to do that. Not to mention that you have Swerve, who's as WWE trained, can do it on the WWE way, but doesn't have to. Ricky Starks, he's WWE trained, believe it or not. He's never been through their system, but he's trained with all those people. He knows exactly how to do it the way they do it, and he works with them. Who do you think got Undertaker ready to come back for Roman Reigns? Guys like Ricky. We know this. Like, Ricky knows how to work those styles too. So to have Ricky be that balance between the two, because Jungle Boy's strictly indie, Swerve, indie superstar to WWE, and you got Ricky who's just as fluid there. This was a really cool pairing, I thought, that they put together there. Let's hear from Shakes and then Amanda, because I think we have a feeling where Amanda's going to go with it. Shakes, what did you think of this match?
Oh, you know I love this match, man. I love Swerve, man. I love everything that he does outside the ring, inside the ring. Inside the ring, you wouldn't think that he would do some of the things that he does.
Yeah.
And when he does it, you're like, oh wow, like this kid is really athletic and really like he has so much layers to him. So to actually see him have a great match, I was happy to see that. But for him to actually win it, I was like, okay,
that was right
in there, right? Like we in there now. And then I also liked the ending where they had the big men fighting. Yeah, I was like, okay, all right. Now it wasn't so entertaining like the match was, but to see the big guys actually go at it, I was like, okay, I can see what they doing here with the tag team division thing. So
yeah, I actually took notice in this one of Swerve's entrance more than usual. Like his music, that's one of his songs, isn't it? Do we know?
I think so.
I think it's one of his.
Mm-hmm.
He came out like he was totally just vibing. Like it reminded me a little bit of like Lee Moriarty, how he comes out with the headphones on because he's like listening to his music, getting in the mindset. Where with Swerve, his music was over the whole thing, and it felt like he was just fucking rocking out on the way to the ring. And I was like, this is kind of fucking cool. Like he's chilling.
entrance when he was using Shaka Khan. That's how he came out too. You know, it was like he was in that fucking zone, and like that's
like
where
he's getting he's getting in that zone with the music. Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, and it kind of is one of those things where it really matches.
Yeah.
Hit Row, sorry, I mean it's nothing compared, like those entries, nothing compared to like a true Swerve entrance. I think.
What'd you think of the match, Amanda?
Well,
garbage.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. Worst one for the night. Oh my god, I think I enjoyed Phil talking more so. These are three people that I have watched for quite a long time. I love all three of them, and I'm like, fuck. This is the kind of match that AEW should be putting on.
Yeah.
Because this is the spirit of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think that for me right there was like, okay, yeah, this is what, not because, you know, these people, I really like them and they're some of my favorite, you know, people wrestling right now, but in the sense of that was like a PWG quality match. You've got two people there who've wrestled at PWG, one obviously no, but that's that kind of style that you see where it's that blend of kind of everything. So, you know, I already knew just seeing the booking, and of course the FOMO again.
Yeah.
I cried a little bit because I'm like, I should be there, 5th row. But I also said to myself, you know what? You wouldn't have seen shit because I was on the side, on the entrance ramp. Like when you're when you're coming down, I was on the left side, but I was on the other aisle. But anyways, I think that you have people who the timing was really great. Yeah, I do agree that, you know, there were some moments, but it really highlighted everything that each of them do good, great. And that's what makes them what they are. And I think that if anybody had all of those facials and that kind of weird emotion, is always Ricky, because that's what he's damn fucking good at. You know, even when you're cussing out you know, you're going to take it out on a fan. I mean, you know, that's some shit, you know? And I think that particular match, would I love to see it again? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that Swerve deserved to get that pin because he was that MVP. He was the goddamn Tom Brady of that whole match. The way it just kind of flowed. And what's interesting is, and if, you know, you ever want to see, and I think we've talked about this on episode 1, and Marsh could agree with me that I think one thing to really point out that Swerve can do, I don't want to say almost anything, but he mixes up his styles, is when you see Swerve versus Ricky at Inspire Pro.
Yeah.
Beautiful match.
You see a lot
so
more.
I encourage people, go on YouTube, it's there, to see it, because it's amazing to me. And Ricky's another one who, you know, he can work with the high flyers. He's not going to fly high. Why? Because he's got a big old booty, and that drowns you.
Yeah, that booty will sink you to the bottom of the ocean.
Booty will sink you to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, and you know, but I think that it overall was excellent. Did I like that ending when people came out? Yeah, because you're introducing these big guys. But the one thing that really stood out to me, and it wasn't the guys, it was JR. He loves himself some goddamn powerhouse Hobbs.
Yes, he does.
I swear to God.
Yeah,
I mean, he puts him over so well. And it's not like, at first I thought, oh, maybe he's just, you know, whatever, is being fake. No, it is very genuine, because you can tell when JR is being fake about things. But this is this genuine kind of love. And I think that that's where, with Will, that's where, you know, he's going to go places, because a lot of people have that same feeling. And I just thought it was great that JR, you know, was really, you know, hyping him up and, you know, and whatnot. And it was great to see that, because he's not
saying anyone No, I'm not saying anybody should, but if you went back and watched every single segment Hobbs has ever been on, JR is gushing over him.
Oh yeah.
Talking about his background. When Hobbs was a babyface, JR loved talking about how he like shielded what was his girlfriend or his kid or his brother or something like that. His brother, all that stuff, because he was just like, this dude is a real life superhero. And I mean, some of these guys are real life superheroes. And I mean, the first word that comes to mind, and I don't mean it to sound the way it's about to sound, but like Mark Henry is one of those real life superheroes where like you watch his life story and you go, God damn, this dude, like when I met Mark Henry, I got choked up just being around him, just like being in his presence. I was just like, dude, like they did that special on you not that long ago. I was like, I watched it. You forget that you are who you are and you came from where you came from. And I think that JR sees that same kind of story in a guy like Hobbs, not racially speaking, but just like that good of a person speaking. You know what I mean? Like I think there's few people who have that kind of heart that just you get near them and you just feel that almost that their heart more than you feel anything else. And I think that he's in that same ballpark with very few, you know, and I think that's why JR like gushes over him the way he does.
Yeah. No, a lot of them do. Like Mark Henry, another person who kind of gushes on Big Show. You know, a lot
Foley.
of people really Foley, a lot of people do. And I can attest and say that, yeah, Will has got a fucking heart of gold. He does. He's a very amazing person. And I couldn't be any prouder of him, you know, than I am. Because it just, every time I see him, I'm like, damn. Because I knew back then, and people used to tell me, I don't know why you like him or invested. And I'm like, he's got it. He just needs a little fine tuning.
During this segment, I thought to myself, why isn't he in the Wardlow spot? Just because something about him just seems so ultra special.
Well, you know what I think it is? It's because, you know, it's the MJF thing. And also, too, with Tony, I think that Tony doesn't see he's got blinders on with Tony. And he doesn't see that people like a Hobbs are, you know, that's money. That is fucking money. He doesn't understand that. You know, as much as you want to shell money to all these other people, no, dude, you want to invest in people like this because that's your future. Yeah. Because when Danielson gets too old, who's going to be? And I'm sure like Mox at some point is not going to want to keep doing this shit that way.
Get him there.
You know, and you've got people like Guevara who have a very short, you know, lifespan as a wrestler because of what he does. So I think that Tony needs to learn that and see that in people. And I really wish a lot of the times a lot of these agents and people who, you know, are kind of developing all this stuff in the back, because there's a lot of great names back there, why they don't steer him in that direction.
Yeah, and I think that's what JR's trying to do with his commentary. Because I feel like JR on commentary more than anything is talking to Tony. You know what I mean? Because so many times when he's burying stuff, it's because he's like, Tony, don't you see that this is ridiculous? Is what it sounds like to me. And when he's putting over a guy like Hobbs, I think he's like, Tony, don't you see what's here? Like, I feel like that JR oftentimes is talking to Tony, and that's what makes me laugh about it. Because you can, when he's like digging on shit, I'm just giggling because you're like, he's trying to tell Tony to fucking knock it off, and he doesn't know how to do it. I do want to ask a question about this, though. The final segment with the three behemoths in there, it made me wonder, and I wanted to pose the question to the group, y'all. Do we have too many, what I like to call them, the two stupid dogs tag teams? One giant guy, one tiny guy. It usually feels special when you have one or two of those, but they just put together a triple threat where you definitely have that, and I'm starting to wonder, are we getting too much of that? Not enough bookends? Because remember we talked about that last week where they have bookend tag teams where it's two dudes who look the same, like Legion of Doom, or even Private Party are bookend tag teams. Like, are we leaning more towards the giant guy, little guy scene? And is there room for that? I don't know. I'll go to Klump first. I haven't heard from Klump in a minute.
I don't know if we got too many, but I think they did this because of that. Like they put them all together because these are three very similar, you know, the David Goliath teams, and it works out that way. So it's interesting to see who's the best of the best in kind of a small way like that. I don't think we have too many of them.
Okay.
Because
I think it's fair.
they also are very different in how they structure themselves. If I had to say a negative on it, is it speaks to, do we have too many teams where we have one standout and one just hanging out there, and it feels like the big guys are the kind of hanging out on the sides. You know, like Hobbs, I feel is fantastic, but we need to see more of him. I think he's been put to the side and like he needs to be more present. I think we need more of these guys on the mic, but I don't like Keith Lee's good on the mic, but he's nothing compared to Swerve.
Yeah.
Hobbs is good on the mic, but you got him with Starks.
Yeah.
Our Luchasaurus, I think, is pretty piss poor on the mic because all he does is like jokes about having a master's degree.
Well, now he doesn't do that. He's back to being and grunting.
Yeah, he just grunts now. It's even worse. It's worse than you thought.
Like a true master's degree holder.
I do like that you call them David and Goliath teams because I call them two stupid dog teams, and yours is probably much nicer. Shakes, what do you think? Do we have too many, or is it just that this particular program is highlighting it, and we'll go back to business as usual afterwards?
I don't know. It does get into a place where you have it oversaturated, and so you sometimes, when it works, you don't want to do it over and over and over again.
Right.
Like it gets repetitive, and then you're like, okay, I'm saying the same thing over and over. You know what I mean?
It's not
it comes
special.
Insanity. It's like, I can't expect a different result. Right?
Yeah.
So, it's getting to that point. I don't think it's there yet.
Okay.
But it is getting to a point where maybe y'all are riding this wave a little bit too much. And I think that's kind of the theme with AEW is like they don't go away from what they think that works. They're like, oh, y'all like that? Okay, well, we'll give you 5 of them. Oh, you like that? Okay, we'll take 10 of that. Like, come on, man.
I mean, that's also evident in MJF's booking, right? It goes, oh, you like that MJF story? We'll run it back again with somebody else. Oh, you like the way that we did it that time? We'll do the next one. Will be just the same 2 again. Like, yeah,
exactly. Yep,
that's true. Well, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving a little bit. I think we said we were going to stay on that Thunder Rosa's promo. I want to get your guys' take on this.
Hold on.
What?
I want to comment on this.
Go ahead.
I think that with our master's degree dinosaur, that this is going to be his swan song, because if anybody was really looking at that match, Jungle Boy does not need a green sidekick. He needs to spread his wings and be on his own.
Yeah,
that's my opinion with it. Swerve and Keith Lee, very strange tag team.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something about it that I just am like, it's a little awkward in its own way, because I feel that Keith Lee still is not in that shape he was pre WWE.
Yeah,
he seems gassed all the time and whatnot. And I think it's time for Ricky to depart and let Hobbs do his thing and give him that FTW belt. Let Ricky go and do his own thing.
Yeah,
because it's time for World of Shine. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, done. Off my.
What do you think about Thunder Rosa, Amanda?
I love her. That was a great promo for her. Like, she was like, "This is Mel."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Damn, she went there with it." This is why she didn't have the face paint on and everything. And I thought that was very ballsy of her, which I loved that fact that she was like, "This is the real me, bitch. I have nothing to hide or anything." And I think that, you got to respect someone like that. And especially because I think when she became champion, it's like, yeah, so what? And I think she's also feeling that kind of um, in a way, that kind of feeling of, man, like I'm less than. I'm less than what Britt was,
Yeah.
even Sheeta to a certain point.
Yeah. And
And
for what?
I think it's just, it's her way of gaining her respect. And I think that she's not only just, trying to teach, Serena a lesson in respect, but I think she's also trying to say to Tony and everybody else, you know, you need to respect
Yeah.
me. You need to respect this. You need to respect what I bring in. And I'm sorry, like when you have a woman who's running her own goddamn promotion with majority women,
Yeah.
you want to kind of listen to her, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Klump, what'd you think of Thunder Rosa's promo here?
That's cool. I liked the. I mean, she can't do a bad promo. I liked how she, didn't have the makeup on and just called it out. I thought she did really good here. Um, I think, I think we've needed to see more of her because I think Serena Deeb's has gotten the spotlight on her. But I mean, I feel bad in that Thunder Rosa, like in the ring, Serena Deeb's fantastic. I don't think she's got it on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But I like this, and I mean, it just made me kind of feel like very aware of last week's promo.
Right.
She's
and I
also,
almost go ahead.
I was going to say, she's also engaged to someone who's a very good talker. So that's why it kind of shocks me that that person didn't get any appointments.
I mean, there could have also been a lot of factors that could have impacted the idea of Serena's timing and such with that as well. But outside of that potential, what I felt like with Thunder Rosa's promo here is that I felt like it was like one of the first times since she's been champion we've got to hear from her. I feel like that every time that she's gone out there, there's some weird angle to it. Someone's got to interrupt it. She's got to then respond to what someone said last week. And this felt like a real kind of like step away and a step back and saying like you said, this is Mel. This is what I look like. This is what it looks like to be a champion. On the pay-per-view, you're going to see what it looks like to be a fighter. But today you're seeing what it looks like to be a champion, somebody who's working hard day in, day out on every single facet, whether you see it or not. Because in this company, more often it's what you're not seeing than it is what you are seeing. For her to do that stripped down look and really point it out and give credence to it and say, I am also a fighter. But when I put on the war paint, like, don't get in my way. Like, I loved it because I also thought that you could easily have gotten to a point where it was one of those like dual personalities. This is my alter ego. You could always go that way. And I thought this was a perfect balance of not doing that. Like, hey, that's my war paint of Thunder Rosa, but just know your champion is also Mel, and I do a lot. You know what I mean? I thought it was awesome and perfectly done there. The only thing I thought was dumb was they started playing her music early. And you could see her be like, "The fuck, I'm not."
Yeah.
And I was all like, "Come on, someone's cues her off, or they're just running her off." I didn't like that.
Wrap that shit up.
Yeah, Shakes, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing I didn't like was when she came out, because the first thing I saw was the red hat. I'm like, oh my god, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Well,
and I was
and
like,
of course,
and
JR
then I was like,
was
oh wait,
on top of it.
Yeah, and then
JR was like, great hat.
I'm like, wow, okay. But then when I saw her whole outfit, I was like, it's not Carmen Sandiego. I get it.
Yeah. Shakes, what do you think of Thunder Rosa here?
All right, so some of what you said, as a champion, you kind of say, okay, who the hell is Thunder Rosa now, right? Like, who is she? Who is she? And I think we got a glimpse of who she is in this promo. And the thing about it, what I would say is, like, when she started off in a, she's like trying to find what she's about to say, because you can tell she's so excited, because like they must have just gave her the green light to just go, just go, right? And so she was so excited, and she was trying to really find what she wanted to say. But once she got it, she was going. And I don't know if y'all ever been around a lot of Latinos. I'm from New York, Okay, I'm from New York. I've been around a lot of them, and once they get going, it ain't no stopping them. It's like you like, okay, calm down. And then there's another thing. It's another, So, and that's exactly how it seemed like she was. She was in that Latina mode, and just like she said, the music came on and she was just like, fuck the music. I don't give a goddamn. I'll talk over the music. Like,
That's Oakland
yeah,
in her. That's the
yeah,
Oakland in her. Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Marsh and I will just very politely say we are familiar. And
Yep. We are familiar with the heat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great, and an awesome, like you said, glimpse into who she is, and not just who she's portraying, like we talked about even before with some of the previous stuff. So I just thought it was awesome, and I want to see that momentum kept, right? Because everything you just said about even critiquing her as a champion so far in the run is all about how she's allowed to be presented and the time she's allowed to be given, and she's one of those ones where you can just tell by the output that she's thinking about this all day, every day until she's got that minute, that 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes that she had on TV that day, she's been thinking about for probably 2-3 weeks every day. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell she's got that. And so you just want more of that. You know what I mean? So hopefully on the other side of this, I'm really excited to see what's next. This is what we get, So there's only 2 little spots left, I think, in the show. Oh, what do you guys think of the Hardys promo? The Hardy Boys talking about the Young Bucks?
We really still calling them boys.
All right, let me go. All right.
Yeah.
So I like it, right? But I think they could have done more with it.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they hit the mark of y'all are the fans. Y'all are, yeah, we are y'all idols. Y'all looked up to us. And even though we in our mid-40s, we still y'all idols and we can still kick y'all ass, right?
Yeah.
And that's all I got from that. And it was like, oh man, of course, the Hardy Boys are always gonna do great promos, especially Matt Hardy. But just the fact that they pointed that out and then actually pointed it out, well, y'all wanna be us, and there is similarities, but y'all are not us at all.
Yeah.
And so to me, it juiced up that little rivalry,
Yeah.
and I want to see how the Young Bucks actually retaliate
Yeah.
on the mic, not just in the ring, but on the mic against that, because a lot of times all we see is the Young Bucks, being silly, or they not really being serious. But how are you going to respond that your idols basically just disrespected you?
Yeah. I also liked that they said that you wouldn't have survived in the business when we got in the business. I liked those little side comments like that too. But anything to add on that? Or are you guys ready to move to the next thing?
I'd just like to say that this whole storyline and pretty much the promo, they did it at Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you should have brought something new to it.
Recycled, huh?
Yeah. Totally recycled. And I think that, it's great they're doing it again, but that was because what they did, that was a once in a lifetime kind of thing. They wanted that. And if I believe there was, I can't remember, it was on BTE when they filmed the episode after it, is they were backstage with them and they're like, oh my, the Bucks were just very humble. Like, thank you so much. Like, it was everything that they had dreamed of pretty much. And I think that, with the Bucks, it was interesting because Ring of Honor used to film those little, I don't want to call them vignettes, but these little almost interview segments. So it was kind of that back and forth rebuttal. Are we going to get it? Maybe we'll get it on Friday. What's going to be said, I'm hoping it's not some stupid jokey shit. That's what I'm hoping. So fingers crossed. But it's going to be a great match because I was there live for that match in Orlando. And it blew me away. And I'm not a big, Hardy's person myself.
Yeah.
I just was like, wow, this is great because you've got two of some of the best tag teams who do kind of this kind of stuff, and it was great because they had the ladders match. So
Acrobatic.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I don't really have a lot to add on that. Just given that it kind of was what it was, and like you said, it felt a little rehashed, but at the same time, like it's cool they're doing it. Well, I guess we'll see how it plays out on the actual stage of it all.
Play it out on a larger scale.
Yeah, yeah, and that could be fun. My only concern being that I think the Hardys that we've been seeing this past year or so has not been the Hardys we saw back in Orlando back then. So it does raise those questions. I do think Klump's got to bow out, and we have two other matches we're going to talk about real quick. Just the Tony Britt and the Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Kyle O'Reilly little thing there. Klump, anything you had to say about those? Or you ready to bow out?
I'm ready to bow out, guys. You guys have a good night. It was a pleasure hanging out with y'all. Enjoy the night.
Cheers, my dude.
All right, have a good night, Klump.
He usually has family obligations. So, Tony Storm versus Britt Baker.
That pissed me off.
I mean, we said last week it was going to Britt Baker, and it was a shame, right?
Yep. Episode 1.
Was it also me? Was I the only one who watched this and thought that this looked like a giant expose on Britt Baker? Like, she did not come off like she knew what she was doing the way that Tony comes off like she knows what she's doing.
Tony basically made her look like a piece of shit. I mean, like she is not at that level, Britt Baker.
Right?
Yeah,
Tony...
and I was like, fuck. And that's where I got mad because I'm like, Tony Khan is handing the keys to the kingdom to her. And it's like, well, why? She can't even go up against Tony and make it slightly believable. And I thought it was bullshit.
Yeah. Shakes, did you kind of get the same impression out of that, or are we being a little harsh?
Well, I mean, no, I think y'all spot on. They do push Britt Baker, and then I did see a significant talent shift between the two, and it made me really, I think I'm not sure which one of the commentators said it, but they were saying that Toni Storm has been wrestling since she was like 13. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it was like, okay, when you put that factor in and then you see her dominating her, you like, oh, okay, now it makes a lot more sense, because looking at it, and I didn't know that fact of Toni Storm, even though she went to WWE, I didn't know much of her because she didn't have that long of a stint for us to get a storyline from her.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know too much of her. So to know that fact, I was like, oh, okay, like, all right, well, it solidified and legitimizes her as a true, real wrestler, like a Paige, right?
Right.
Has just been doing it since they've been kids. So it's technical wise, technically, like with fundamentals, you're not going to be better than that type of person because they've been doing it for maybe even a decade longer than you.
But for your same argument, Paige beat AJ Lee on the first match in her debut for the title because it was undeniably different, right? And AJ Lee was fucking fantastic. But you also have Paige, right? So in this aspect, I think what it did is it highlighted not only Britt's weaknesses, but Tony's weaknesses in booking. You're willing to push people who are clearly not as good for your own personal thing. And like when it becomes see-through, that's when people I think start kicking back. And I think we're really close to people kicking back on Britt. Like they've accepted her as their top star right now. I think that when you have these matches against like a Tony and they're not pushing Tony, I think you're going to get a kickback the way that they kicked back against like Roman and Cena at the time, You think it's possible? Amanda thinks that they're just going to keep going with whatever Tony says.
No, I think the fans definitely going to start to see it because you can't really like fake the funk. It's only so much you can do to fool a fan until a fan says, you know what? I see what the hell you doing here.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that I get it that you're like AEW, they just gonna be minions, right? Like they just
Mhm.
gonna go whatever it is going or whatever is being presented. But really, I have seen a lot of that happen in a lot of situations where, just like WWE, they were being stubborn as hell to stop all this Papa Shango and all this shit until
Yeah.
WCW came through and smacked their ass with the NWO and
Yeah.
made them say, okay, you know what? DX it is, right?
Yeah.
So, sometimes you got to
Yep.
get smacked into reality. And
Mm.
I think that moment will come, even though
Mm.
Tony Khan is kind of being a little stubborn with it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that moment will come.
She again was one of those original people. And has she improved since? No.
No.
And it's like, I'm not ragging on her because I actually kind of like Britt Baker, but I don't like the fact that she's in the position that she's in because I don't think she's gotten the chops to be in that kind of position.
Yeah.
So I think that when you have someone like, because right now I'm like, Jamie Hayter should be doing a lot more
Yeah.
than she's doing right now. And that's disservice to her.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that also um, with Britt Baker, she's been totally shoved down everybody's throats that I don't think for a while most people aren't going to turn on her because this is what they know, this is what they were fed.
Yeah.
And, the typical AEW fan, I think, just doesn't, they won't see that.
Mm.
They're going to bitch about, oh, there's not enough women's wrestling. But
Mm.
Baker, yeah, we love her. That's our queen. Before they'll even go about with the champ, because let's be real. Right now, after I saw that match, I'm like, give me fucking Thunder Rosa and goddamn Tony Storm.
Yes.
I
Yep.
want that. Like bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like with even people like Ruby Soho, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she came in, I thought was gonna be fantastic. No,
Yeah.
no, because
Nothing.
we're still riding on Britt Baker. But I'm like, that that ship sailed,
Yeah.
and it sailed a long time ago. And I feel like that's almost the way with Nyla Rose too.
Yeah.
That ship sailed.
I said
So
it. I said it a long time ago when we first started
yeah, that's the
watching.
one.
I think it was even episode 1 that my biggest concern for Britt Baker was going to be that she is not around enough talent that can help raise her up another level.
Mhm.
That they had too much, and I even said that, like, I know people were talking. There was a while where like, oh, will she ever go to AEW or WWE or NXT or any of that? And I remember saying that if she wants to get better, she's going to have to leave AEW because AEW is not doing anything for her as far as making her better. And Tony's even said in his interviews recently that they don't train talent there. They want them to be trained when they get there, and that's why they bring in who they do. And they don't really work with the Nightmare Factory like they used to. And fuck, I mean, if it's, I've seen people started to say that like she's bordering, she's like a highlight reel of being stagnant, borderline on regression. Like not only she's not grown, but it's almost like she's gotten worse. Like there's a confidence to it that makes it sloppy, right? Like I was saying for a while, the reason that I think that because I said for a while that she may be the first one to go to WWE, is because if she truly loves this and truly wants to be the best at it, she has to get in the ring with the types of wrestlers that are in WWE and that are just not in AEW. And I think that at this point, we're seeing this kind of stuff where you go, yep, you had one person who was in WWE for a little bit there, came over and outshined you in a match that you won. And everyone said, why the fuck did you win? And that's not good from the person who's been their longest reigning champ and the person who they've anchored their entire division on. You want people to say, yeah, bring them up to Britt's level. But it's not the case. It's constantly Britt's on this higher level and nobody knows why.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, again, it all comes from the the women. Obviously, they were scouting to come to AEW eventually because
Yeah.
it was becoming more and more real when
Yeah.
All In was. Is you had Madison Rain, you had Britt Baker, Chelsea Green, and Tessa Blanchard. Now,
Yes.
the two standouts of those were obviously Tessa, because she's fucking amazing. I just wish she'd keep her fucking mouth shut so we could see her a little bit more. And then uh, Chelsea Green. The Chelsea Green is just phenomenal, and I'm
Yeah.
glad she's gotten some really great success out there right now with her man. Um, but like with Britt was the only one because obviously Chelsea Green got signed to go to the Performance Center. Madison Rain, you know, she just was kind of like doing her thing. I mean, I think she went back to Impact for a little bit. I don't know if she's still there, but that's where she ended up. And of course, everybody knows the history of Tessa Blanchard. So who was left?
Yeah. Yep.
It was Britt. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, main event. Adam Cole, no, not Adam Cole. Kyle O'Reilly and Samoa Joe. Adam Cole comes out at the end to kind of do a stare down thing. By the time this match happened, I was only like half invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
It looked a lot to me, objectively, like Samoa Joe was standing in the middle of the ring. You know what it reminded me of? And this is people are gonna hate it. It reminded me of Yokozuna versus Bret Hart.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
There was a lot of Samoa Joe not moving. He moved a lot early on and then got gassed and kind of stayed in the middle. And Kyle O'Reilly was working circles around him, feeding to him, running over towards him. There was a sequence, the whole like last 5 minutes of the match, Joe doesn't move like more than a foot away from where he's standing. And Kyle O'Reilly's just all over the fucking place. And it reminded me a lot of Yoko Brett. That's only because I'm obsessed with Brett and nothing else, right? But he was against a largely immobile wrestler who was also still very skilled. So how do you feed to him so he doesn't get so gassed he doesn't want to do it? It reminded me of that, and that's what it felt like. And I was a little bummed that it looks like we're watching Samoa Joe become harder and harder to work with in that regard. Still, Samoa Joe looked great by the end of it, I think, thanks to O'Reilly. He did choke out O'Reilly. We're going to get Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. I think we're getting an Adam Cole win, and I really hope we don't. I hope it goes to Joe, but I don't know. That was my thoughts on the match. Shakes, what do you think about it?
I knew that this was kind of going that route. Now I know we was talking about Adam Cole and Riley being a championship,
Yeah, I thought we were doing
but
that.
I didn't see that. Samoa Joe seems like more of the route that they'll go, because legendary status and his stature in WWE plus the stature from TNA Impact, from what he was doing there. So I can see them going that route, and then also obviously going Adam Cole because that's the young up and coming guy that they just love to put on that pedestal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the Britt Baker love too. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is with this couple, man.
Yeah.
Like
That's part of their signing bonus, I think.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know what it is. Like we'll put you to the top, and nobody else will be next to y'all. And I guess that's what it is. But yeah, those two seem like the match that they wanted to present, and that's fine. Now, what would you do with it though? Because are you gonna pass the mantle to Adam Cole and have Cole actually beat Joe? Or are you just gonna say, no, Joe is too much of a legend to get beat and we have to give this thing to Joe? I don't know which route they're gonna do it.
I think they're going to do the route of give it going toward Adam Cole because Joe technically has a belt. This is to win an opportunity for a belt. So this is where you're going to see Adam Cole do,
But
get his
to that though, to piggyback off that, you would rather see a CM Punk Adam Cole, or would you rather see a CM Punk Samoa Joe?
Oh, it's fucked up.
That's good. Good question. The problem is that's a hard one, but I have a very strong spidey sense that Britt Baker is going to win the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how Tony likes these couplings. That's going to happen. And, you know, although it would be great, Samoa Joe and Punk for old time's sake.
Yeah.
But I doubt. I honestly doubt.
I'll say this. If Tony Khan wants to win, he does Samoa Joe. Because you even have Samoa Joe lose to CM Punk. Like, let's say CM Punk wins against Page. And you have Samoa Joe win the Owen Hart. And he's the first challenger and he loses. You know, no skin off his back. You got the match that people have been saying they wanted since the moment they both were in there. If he's really stupid, he'll have Adam Cole win it, and then Adam Cole and Britt Baker are going to challenge for the mixed tag championships that Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara have from AAA.
Right.
Like, that would be
That
the
sounds
worst.
like the Tony Khan thing to do.
It's not impossible, but it is dumb.
He's not a very smart man, in all honesty. So doing the right thing, which is, you know, Joe Punk, you know, I mean, yeah, it ain't gonna happen. I don't think it will, especially because I really think sometimes I wonder with Adam Cole, is he really well liked, or do people just like to do the boom and Adam Cole baby? You know, I wonder.
Sing-alongs are over, dude.
Man, Joe and Punk could be such a great war, though.
Yeah. No, that's the move.
A lot of old
Once you
memories,
said it, that's the move.
That is the move. That is the move. And it also opens the forbidden door of opportunity to see the one I really want.
Yeah, and if you're real smart, you do that on the first ever ROH pay-per-view. And you start doing an extra pay-per-view a year. You don't do just, you have 4 AEW, but now you do like 2 ROH. You do the first ever ROH pay-per-view and have it be your ROH TV champion against the AEW World Champion on an ROH pay-per-view. Move those tickets, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If that was me. But otherwise, we could always do a AAA title, mixed tag title against a couple versus couple, because that's cutesy. Why not?
Oh, God, that's so annoying. Fuck me. No, no one wants to see that.
Are you guys hyped for Double or Nothing?
Yeah, they got me. They got me. I'm juiced.
Yes and no.
Now, there's two separate questions. A, are you willing to pay to watch it? And B, are you willing to stream it but not pay?
B, always.
B? Of course,
yeah.
Shakes, you got links? Because I can get you links if you need, Shakes.
Yeah, we can give you links.
I got links.
You got links? Okay.
I'm in there. I'm good.
Yeah, we all know I'm not paying for this shit, you know?
I don't know.
There's only certain ones that matches that I will pay. They haven't had them yet. But I'm excited in the fact that in my heart, I feel that the tag belts are going to go to Hobbs and Starks. And I will be one crying bitch if that happens. Because those are my guys. And there'll probably be guns going off in EPA, East Palo Alto. So I think that's great. Shout out to the 650. But yeah, no, I think that's going to be it. Phil winning just is going to piss me off.
She tagged him.
No. That's
Amanda, I just sent you a tweet I think I need you to see immediately.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Shakes, I'm going to send it to you as well.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Shakes Montana coming your way. And we're going to retweet it on our Wrestling on the Rocks page.
God. Are you fucking kidding? Oh, okay. I'm going to wait till Shake sees it. All right.
Shake, see it? I sent it to you, Shake.
Check it now.
I'm pissed off right now.
You just pissed off, MsAmandaJayne.
Oh, I'm fucking pissed off.
Yeah, I sent it I DM'd it to you.
Okay, cool.
And then we just retweeted on Wrestling on the Rocks. This happens on live. It's all live. If you're listening to this on podcast, you can go to Wrestling on the Rocks, WOTR, the show, on Twitter, and you'll see that we retweeted it. I screen grabbed it just in case it gets deleted, because it might.
Yep. Especially if I go in there, I'm probably going to get blocked for days.
Yeah, Amanda's looking for another block. She needs another
no,
block.
not a block. No, I'll be put on punishment. I've never been put on punishment.
Did you get it, Shakes?
Oh wow, yeah,
You see what it says there?
yeah. Ran into Keith Lee.
Uh-huh. That's Samoa Joe. It's a picture of Keith Lee and Jeff Cobb.
Okay.
It's
First of
not
all,
Samoa Joe at all.
Shakes like, even if you like Samoa Joe, you know it doesn't look like him.
Like, doesn't even
okay,
look
because this
like
is where my
him.
tiroid's going to go. Okay. And this is coming from someone who is also like part of the island tribe, Korean Hawaiian, Ohana. Okay, why is it always some? And if I offend people, just know that I'm an equal opportunity offender. Okay, and I think that I have the right to, because I just do. So if you're offended, you can unfollow me. I don't give a fuck. But I'm offended because why has it always got to be white people who are so fucking stupid to think that a lot of these people who are islanders or part Asian, they're all the same? They are not the same. Okay? Sorry, that's Jeff fucking Cobb. Okay? Oh, you see a big guy and, tan, you think, oh, okay, that's Samoa Joe. No! Are you fucking kidding? I'm like bothered by this because, I'm sorry, but as this is also Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and for you, this what is her name? Crystal Taffeta? All right, Crystal Taffeta. First of all, you need to go educate yourself about Asian races and Pacific Islanders, and to know that, girl, there's a lot of difference, and that insults a lot of people who are Islanders. Like when people say, "Oh, call someone like with like Juicy for now," which I'm rocking my Juicy shirt today.
Oh, that's cool. She's rocking a Juicy shirt.
I'm rocking
Pacific Islander month of all months, she says.
Yeah. Last few days of it. But when they had that tag team with him and MLW, with him, Jacob Fatu, and is it Journey Fatu, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that they were called like the Samoan something, and I'm like, damn, he's not even Samoan. And Court Bauer kind of schooled me with it, but I'm like, but still, if you were to tell a Tongan, lump them in with Samoan, that's two different distinct cultures right there, and I'm not saying everybody should know that, but it's like kind of saying, like, when I grew up, you Chinese or you Japanese, and they would go all off the grid until they're like, oh, you're Korean. Oh, like, what do you mean, oh? I see you enjoying our barbecue, so I just want to say, if you're gonna be stupid,
good start.
Do not put it on social media, okay? Because you're just gonna look like a jackass. Now I really damn wish I went to goddamn Double or Nothing to FOMO, because this girl lives in Vegas. I would seek her out and be, bitch, what the fuck is what are you thinking? Take her. And then I would take her to, yeah, and then I would take her to Hawaiian barbecue. Then we'd also go have Korean barbecue. And I'll
teach
say,
her the culture.
not only just that too, but I'm like, I would quiz her. Do you know what the difference is between the two? And I can tell her that, yeah, a lot of Hawaiian barbecue is inspired by Korean barbecue, because a lot of Koreans migrated over to Hawaii. That's how my family got here. So, just saying. So, thank you for letting me be political and on my soapbox. And this girl is just dumb. So, anybody who, I'm going to ask my friend Terry, who's in Las Vegas, shout out to the sign lady, if she knows who this chick is, because, oh, Lord of mercy, I want to grill this bitch. Lord of mercy. Okay.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And I could worse off the deep end. But just know that, I don't think ignorance is bliss. I don't.
I blame
And if you're
producer lady
really
What?
in this day
She's
and
still
age,
on a tirade about it.
Oh,
yeah, it's on my tirade.
She's still
In this
doing
day
her
and
thing.
age,
You did this.
that's okay. No, but in this day and
Reel
age,
back in.
I know we celebrate diversity, and it's great that we see people of all walks of life in wrestling. But let's just remember that we're all not the same.
Yeah.
But the one thing that does bind us in this game is professional wrestling, and we all have blood and emotions and feelings.
It's true. It's true.
There you go.
Shakes. We're not going to go on all night about NXT or anything, but you said you watched some NXT this week, and I wanted to get your take specifically on what was some of your favorite stuff you saw this week. I know you asked earlier what the hell is Diamond Mine, and I'll give you. I'm not really sure. It seems to be like a little discombobulated. But apart from that, like, what are some of your favorite things you saw this week on NXT? Because you haven't been watching it lately, right?
Right. And so, it was interesting because I'm like, all right, I told you my nephew been trying to get me into it. So I'm like, all right, boy, cut it
So you watched it with your nephew?
Yeah. And, first thing, we got the Mafia going against the LAX over here, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? What is going on? I'm like, wait. I'm
That's a
like,
great introduction
y'all
to
know.
That's a good point. Tony D right away, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
What is
I was
this?
into it already. Like, oh, okay, we got the Mafia in here. All right, I love the stables and everything. So I was like, okay, I can get into this. All right, so yeah, that was interesting. I was like, why are they fighting anyway? Like, what happened? What's the origin? I wanted to know the origin of why they was fighting. He couldn't even tell me. My nephew couldn't even tell me. He's like, they just don't like each other. I was like, well, why? Why don't they like each other?
So it sort of boils down to Tony D'Angelo beat Ciampa, and so he called himself the Don of NXT once he beat Ciampa, and Legado del Fantasma was like, hey, we kind of run this joint, and Tony D'Angelo's all like, yeah, you did, but I'm the Don now, and that kind of just did the whole thing, and they kind of like, I don't know. Then it became kind of like you run your business, I'll run my business. We don't got to interact, and it was all like, okay, but just as long as you let everyone know that I'm superior, and it's like, well, we're not doing that, and then it was a thing.
Okay. I like it, and then what was interesting to me was there was a lot of women's matches.
Yes.
So I don't know if they are they're trying to regain that magic that they had with the Four Horsewomen, and a new evolution of women. I don't know if that's the route that they're trying to go, because they was really pushing the women's matches. I mean, it was like 3 back-to-back.
Yeah, they've been really women forward.
It's like, wow, that's pretty interesting.
My hope is that the reason, I mean, because none of us know, right? But my hope is that the reason is that they're seeing how popular the women's wrestling is to their main product and trying to fluff up that roster. They have very few women on the main roster, and I think they're trying to get enough women up there to where they can have, realistically, a women's tag division that is robust and meaningful. Whether or not that's actually what they're going for or not, it's impossible for us to know. We're just fans and we watch. But that's my hope, is that's why they're leaning so women heavy lately. Because there was one show, I think 2 weeks back, where there wasn't a single match without a woman in it. That even the match that had a man in it was a mixed match, mixed tag match. So it still had women in it. Like, there was absolutely no matches without women. It was fantastic.
Okay. And then they had Wesley going against this Braun Strowman looking guy, man.
Yes, Sangra.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, well, he dominated the match, and I'm like, okay, he should have. All right. But then Wesley gets attacked, and then he helps Wes. Like, I'm like, hold on.
Wait
a minute.
You missed last week the setup.
Yeah.
So the setup was that
Wesley, like, why?
Wesley got his ass kicked in this other match, or no, after his match, he got his ass kicked by Zion Lee or I forget who it was. There was two people who jumped him, and it shows him backstage, and Sangha is just standing back there, and he just goes like, "Yeah, you gotta watch out for those guys, man. They're no good." And Wesley's like, "Mind your own business, man. This isn't a thing." And he's all like, "Dude, I'm just trying to help you. I'm just letting you know, like, they're serious, man. Just leave them alone." And then Wesley was more or less all like, "Dude, I'll knock you the fuck out too. Like, I don't care if you're 10 foot tall. I'm not about this, right?"
I was wondering why he was fighting him. I was like, why is he fighting him?
Yeah, but and more or less, Sangha was all like, "Watch your mouth, but I'll be if you want to fight, I'll give you one, but I don't think you should do this." And even Nathan Frazier, who was with him, was kind of like, "Dude, you shouldn't be picking a fight with him." And Wesley's like, "No, I have to prove that you don't have to be 10 foot tall to be successful around here." And so, from Sanga's point of view, he was just about to have a friendly match with a guy he respects. And from Wesley's point of view, he was trying to take down the monster to prove that you could. So when he got jumped, Sangha was all like, "It's not that I hate the dude, what I mean? He's just got what's coming to him,
I just had to make a point.
Yeah.
Like, and I was impressed by the big man.
Yeah. And Wesley on his own, that promo.
Yeah.
His promo before the match was fire, dude.
And his wrestling skills, I was impressed. And then the next thing I was impressed by was the Mellow promo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet, man. Have them go back and forth with each other. That was pretty. I was like, okay.
Shout out to Trick. Happy birthday.
Yep. Yep.
And happy birthday to my grandmother. I'm about to go ahead and spend some time with her on her birthday. But
Sure. Yeah.
Shout out to grandma.
But yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I was just wondering what were your big takeaways from it, because there's been a lot going on, and it's always interesting to me when people step away from a while and come back to the shows and whatnot. Like Kevlar, even yesterday, he watched WrestleMania Backlash, and then this week's Raw and SmackDown. So there was a whole lot of missing, and it's always interesting to me to see like where are you gathering where we're at and how did we get here kind of stuff. And so the fact you haven't been watching NXT and you did, I just want to know your highlights, what your absolute favorite stuff was, because like you said, it's been really woman forward, and I was really impressed by Mandy and Indy, but you might not have been all that impressed by it because you haven't been seeing Indy Hartwell been used like such a terrible jobber for so long that on her own.
And then I have, I haven't been watching so much, but I have kept up, because like I told you, my nephew, right? So I know she had the marriage segment that she was in, and all of that. It was definitely not taking her wrestling career seriously, with just everything that she does outside of the ring. So to see that match, with Mandy, which was a great match.
It was actually
that match.
Mm-hmm.
I was not looking forward to it, and by any stretch, if I'm being honest. And I've been a big Hartwell fan for a while, but everything from the way and after, I was like, this is trash. I was like, I don't know what we're gonna get here. And I watched this match, and I was all like, fuck yes, this is what we've been needing. And I was so happy for her, like, back on track.
They've been needing to do that to Indy. So bad. So bad.
Tiffany being in the breakout, awesome. Alba Fire doing her thing, awesome.
Oh my god, that was a great thing, Alba Fire, I must say. I was I'm like, wow, this is a great reintroduction.
Roxanne Perez doing fucking killer.
Marsh, I'm gonna go ahead and skate out and go ahead with my grandmother, but it was great being on here with y'all, and thanks again, Marsh. I will be here next week with you. And Amanda, I will see you on Thursday, right?
See you Thursday.
Yep.
All right. Y'all have a good night, y'all.
Yep, absolutely, man. Cheers.
Cheers to y'all too.
But yeah, they threw Tiffany Stratton into the breakout tournament, and she progressed. So the finals is actually going to be Tiffany versus Roxanne Perez, which I think is awesome. And
that is going to be great.
Yeah, I think
both of them. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, win-win on that one, like absolutely. So,
can I tell you, with Indy and Mandy, oh my god, I was just like, I wasn't expecting a lot with this, and then I kept thinking to myself, how are they going to make this jokey some way in the light of Indy? And they didn't, and that shocked me, and it was really, really good. Yeah. So hmm But let's talk about that ending, because that ending was pretty freaking phenomenal.
Wendy Chu coming out, throwing all the hitting Mandy with the sack of balls.
hmm And then holding the belt. That's the champion we need.
Here's the funny thing about Wendy's pranks is for whatever reason, they all just barely miss. Like, she's always like the net falls off, the balls don't fall out, like the silly string misses. Like, she keeps doing all these little fucking gags, and for whatever reason, they just barely don't pan out. And it's really funny to me because like they're really trying to make it work.
Yeah, and what's funny is I think that the time it does work, she's gonna get the belt. I think that's kind of genius that way. And I'm just here for the ride. I love her.
Yeah,
that's my spirit animal. You guys know.
Yeah,
I can't wait to cosplay her on the Jericho cruise next whenever it is.
Yeah, I think February. But yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. No, it's Cinco de Mayo, I think.
Oh, interesting.
I'm hoping they bring Cabana back because that's his birthday weekend. But anyways,
cool. But
I digress. But
Yeah.
She can do. Wendy Chu can do no wrong in my book.
Yeah, she's doing great, and I liked her backstage segment too, where she was talking this shit. It was so funny. Yeah, she was like, I really like the sound of my sack of balls hitting Mandy in the face, and then Katana was all like, I don't know about that, but like.
Yeah, it was great, and I like the fact that you're coming around on Wendy Chu, because I know you were just like, oh no. See, that's where WWE does these comedy goofy things, right?
Yes.
Not the relationship bull crap, whatever the indie was in. This is how it's done right.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. All right. Well, it does look like, I think because it's technically midnight on the East Coast, I think it's officially Natalya Neidhart's birthday.
Happy birthday, Natty!
So cheers to Natty Neidhart. I would say friend of the show, but she's not really a friend of the show. But she's amazing, one of our absolute faves. So yeah, cheers and happy birthday to Natalya Neidhart. I don't have anything else. Did you have anything else for our last call?
The only thing that maybe we can touch on it after, maybe sidebar on this and have a little discussion about Joey Janela and the interesting couple of days.
We could do that if you want. We could end the show and talk, or we could talk about Joey to close out the show, because I mean that is something that would definitely be a you and me conversation that I don't think the Klump or Shakes would have anything to say about.
Yeah.
He did set himself on fire. It looked like he had no consideration on how to not be on fire, which I think was the weirdest part to me, is that like he went to go super kick the guy, and then it was all like, well shit, now my foot's on fire. And then the refs and everyone were looking around like, well, what are we supposed to do? And I was all like, he didn't have a plan. He didn't have like a wet towel in the corner. He didn't have like a bunch of water bottles somewhere. He didn't have like a bucket of ice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like a fan threw a water bottle into the ring and the ref grabbed it and tried to put his foot out. But like, to me, that was the biggest weird part, was all like, you didn't have a next step? Like,
yeah.
But it was kind of wild to watch. What did you think of it?
Outlaw Mud Show Wrestling.
Yeah, right?
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But I guess at that same show is that incident that one wrestler was basically who came out about Joey being insensitive to people.
Yeah, I think it was around that same thing.
Yeah,
that one guy.
Yeah, my comment is, part of it is I feel that this is a guy, a lower level indie guy, who got an opportunity to make himself internet famous. I know the guy says he's autistic and he's got mental health issues. First of all, mental health is not a joke, and I know Joey Janela would not joke about mental health, especially because he's known a lot of people who diehards who've had some of these wrestlers who've had a lot of serious demons, with mental health. And not only that too, but like his fucking biggest fan, my friend John, he really attached himself to Janela, and Janela was one that really kind of got him out of his like mental health funk. And Joey knows it, and and I think that people kind of take it the wrong way and things like that, because he jokes around a lot, and I don't want to say that people are too sensitive, but sometimes I think, because this is all again cancel culture, if people see an opportunity to bury someone, they will. And I don't think that's quite right. So for me, that's why if you see my Twitter, I stand, behind, Joey and future Joey. And, because it's one of those things where, it's not, if anything, it probably wasn't meant as, like a dig.
Yeah.
Because, that's kind of Joey's persona. And now,
It felt like a lot of bad guy stuff that was taken real seriously. And like you said, I wouldn't say that someone needs to stop being so sensitive or anything like that. But I would say, like, I agree with you that mental health isn't a joke. Mental health is also not an excuse. And you need to have an awareness of your own self and protect yourself in a lot of ways. And that's that whole self-care and awareness. Like, I think you and I have both talked on this show at different times about some of our own struggles that we've had in the same field. And so we feel in some ways sensitive to it, but also very aware of it, where it's all like, if we know it's going to be a bad thing, we'll steer away from it. Right. And there was something that was a little bit weird about it. And I don't think that anything came off to me as intentionally malicious from Joey. I wouldn't speak on behalf of anybody. He did tweet out about how that he apologized to the two people who he seemed to have hurt and didn't intend to do so. And I kind of think that's what it was. I think he was being a bad guy and playing a bad guy. And Becky Lynch's Twitter, not to drag her into any of this, but her Twitter even says on her own thing, this is where work happens. You know what I mean? Like, Twitter's largely, we say it all the time, Twitter's not real. It's not real life. And I think that, I'm not saying people shouldn't take things seriously, but I'm definitely saying that nobody should take Twitter seriously, because nobody is real there. No one's honest there.
I do when people do stupid crap like this Crystal person,
Right. But but at the same time, people utilize the platform to bully people. They utilize the platform to try and bring people down, to drag people. A lot of people don't always utilize it as the tool that it really can be, which is an amazing connecting tool of finding like-minded individuals to have fun with. A lot of people use it as a way to try to amplify their negativity and hatred onto others. So I would say that Twitter is a minefield. And if you are very sensitive to the words that anyone says, whether you know them or not, Twitter's going to be a difficult place to exist. And it was something I had to get through to with Producer Lady as we started our own accounts here because of the show. People were saying things that were hurting her feelings online. And I was like, look, it's Twitter. It's not real. Mute them. Move on. Don't even block them, because when you block them, they see that they got to you, right? But if you mute them, they think you're just ignoring them, and there's a difference, right? Like, we mute and move on all the time. It's one of the things I think is cool is that sometimes stuff comes up. Like recently, Ringside News was under fire for a bunch of shit that they had said. Honest to God, I didn't think they still existed. It'd been over 2 years since I'd seen them come across my timeline because I had them blocked. And all of a sudden they came back on my timeline. I was like, oh, I thought they went under a while back. So do what's best for you. Mute, block, move on. Be careful on Twitter, because it's definitely not real life. And that's the other thing. A lot of these people who get, quote, canceled on Twitter, and then you can't understand why Hollywood's still embracing them. Why are they still getting jobs here and there? Why does the music industry keep putting out their albums? Because Twitter's not real. And the numbers are so low on Twitter that a lot of these people, when that happens on Twitter, they go, oh, I'll just log off Twitter, never go back on, and then continue about my business. And guess what? That works. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I agree. And I think to kind of underline it, I never saw anything that felt to me like Joey Janela was actually actively trying to hurt somebody and make them feel lesser than at any point.
Yeah. And also too, you know, during kind of the pandemic and a lot of things that were happening to him with AEW, he himself, and he said it, he got very, very depressed because, you know, this was something that, man, it was elevating him to a new level, and it was not nowhere near what it was supposed to be. And that's rough for anybody, you know. And that's when he, you know, to get out of his funk, he started, you know, working out. I mean, he's probably in the best shape of his life now, and you know, he's in a better zone. And I say this because of when I saw him in San Francisco, talk to him. So it's great to see that, because if anybody's really a real person, it's Joey Janela, you know. And people just need to realize that, you know, right now he's being portrayed in that world as a heel.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, hey, and he's the bad boy. You got to remember that. That's his goddamn name. He's the bad boy. So what do bad boys do? You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But definitely with Twitter, you know, I tell people, you know, Twitter can be good in the sense that I've met a lot of people on Twitter that I've become friends with. I've met a lot of people who were deceiving. I've met a lot of people who've tried to bury me. And, you know, and I'm just like, you know, whatever. And for me, I'm kind of in a way, the other way I like to meet like-minded people is when I travel for wrestling, because I wouldn't have met Marsh without going to NWA.
Yep.
Same with Dave. Yeah, I wouldn't have met you guys if, you know, I didn't go. You know, selfish reasons, we know why I went. But it was, you know, it was really cool to find, you know, people who were like really amazing and cool. And that's kind of why I'm here. Yeah. So, you know, you can blame Marsh if you don't like me. Blame him. Blame the ref.
That's true. That's true. It's also kind of interesting that just like, when I think about that trip too, I don't quite know why Dave took a liking to me, because I went there by myself.
Oh yeah, so did I.
Oh, you know what it was? I remember what it was. He had tweeted out about the tickets to go, and I responded with, "Oh, I didn't get the promo code." And then he DM'd me and he started giving me all the info. And then he goes, "If you make it out here, you tell me you're here, and we're gonna hang." And that's what it was. So he took a shine to me that way, because I was like really appreciative that he helped me get those pre-sale tickets and shit. And then when I got there, I was left there by myself, and it was just me and him. And then it all kind of spiraled, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. It's weird. So, I don't like. It's funny because I just started talking to Dave when I was there that first night, and we just kind of all clicked, and you know, and it was kind of cool. We got to see the champ come over, and you know, the newly crowned champ, television champ over there. Yeah, it was good stuff. But you know, hey, a lot of good stuff. But you know, you just don't know who you're gonna meet, and you don't know who you're talking to, because let's face it, most of the people who are trolls, you never see their face. They don't put their face as their, you know, as their thing. I don't have nothing to hide. I mean, it's me, because I'm gonna post pictures like that one of me in Ocean Spray, and someone was like, "But you hate him, and you look at him like you're making out with him." I'm like, okay, no. No.
I even thought it was funny. There's that Becky Lynch was walking up to the ring for a show, and it showed somebody on the sideline there, right at the barricade, booing. And she stopped and stared at him, and he went like this, and then just starts waving, "Hey!" And everyone's all like, Twitter in a nutshell, you know, boo, boo, hi, nice to see you, like. And there's a reality to that, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
and other fans can be mean to other fans. I've experienced this. Happened at NWA. But, you know, it's like, you know, don't tear people down like that, you know. And for me, I really got raked over some coals. And, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry that I put an emotional little video because someone who I consider a very good friend won something kind of major, and I was there, and I wasn't expecting it, and wasn't even told that was happening.
Yeah.
So, is what it is. So
it is.
But But on that note, with it, just remember, don't take anything too seriously. I'm sure, like we teased Bishop about Delaware, but then again, it's like Delaware isn't that great. I miss doing that. Bishop, I know you're listening. Come around
but it's
more.
True. At the end of the day, like, don't take anything too seriously, because at the end of the day, like, your worth and your value is not determined by people you don't know and people who don't know you, because they have no way to value that. Imagine walking by. It's like walking through a bookstore. You know what I mean? You can walk through shelves and shelves of books and just whiz right by all of them. That doesn't mean none of those books aren't gems in their own way. It just means that no one's giving them the time of day. It doesn't mean they're not valuable. It doesn't mean they're not worth anything. I've gone to bookstores and found old dirty books in the back, and you open it up and look at it. It's a first edition, something crazy, signed, and you go, this is an absolute gem that no one took the time to get to take a look at, right? And it's the same thing with social media. No one's taking the time to get to know people, and don't let them affect how you feel about you, because your value is not determined by them.
And it's funny? It also parallels AEW.
Yeah.
What you just said. A lot of gems. You're walking by, and a lot of people, a lot of gems, even out there in, the independent world now. Because I was one of those skeptics, is like, everybody's going away.
Yeah.
Who's going to be left? But there's some really great people out there.
Yeah.
And, it's a good time to be, if you like wrestling or sports entertainment or whatever, it's a good time for that right now.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. And we'll be back next week to do this all over again with our drinking buddies right here in the dive bar of the IWC. Guys, that's the last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning, following, and hitting the I and subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.